Hello, I'm Eagle Gardens 1 on Instagram, and this is fucking talking shit with Eagle, episode 403. How you guys doing? Hopefully you had an amazing Thursday. I've got a super cool guest with you for us tonight, Jimmy Toucan. I owe him a very huge apology first and foremost. He has showed up twice already, and I have had internet problems, but he was so gracious to show up for a third attempt. Jimmy Toucan, how are you doing? Tell us where we can find you, and thank you.
How you doing, man? I can be found on Instagram at j2cans. You can also check out the woodworking website is www.dirtybirdtradingco.com. Just getting ready to roll one up, man.
What are you rolling up tonight?
Let's see, what did I grab here? It looks like some Malibu Pure Kush was the jar I grabbed. Oh, it's delicious. So excited. So how you doing tonight, man?
Much better now that the internet's up and running and I can find the mute button. Pretty good, my friend. Pretty good. Fixing to smoke some little bit of twisted TK and some jelly bean. I'm kind of throwing together.
Oh, right on. Right on. I'd love to get a little.
I like
that jelly bean here sometime.
It's pretty good.
That's a nice happy ride, isn't it?
It is. It is. For me, though, especially on this, the orange or mango kind of terps on it are so thick that it's all the way through, and then that aftertaste. But for me, them oranges only take me so far. You know what I mean? It's a good social kind of, get things done, but it's not that heavy. You know what I mean? But what I found with this in particular, Fino, is it's so pungent that you could drop just a little nug in on practically anything and put that orange mango throughout. You know what I mean?
Right on.
Add that orange to anything. So pretty good.
Yeah. Right on. I get that with the papaya. I love that shit. It's nice. It's pungent. It's got great flavor. It tastes a lot like it smells. It's got that mango papaya, really tropical, just delicious. Always try and have one close by,
Sounds delicious. I love the papaya myself. It's very tasty. So, well, I guess we might as well get this going like we always do, right where we always do. Is that where did you get started with? Where and how did you get started with cannabis?
Well, the first, my first toke was at a local dead show back in, I think it must have been 92. And then it was on from there, probably, let's see, it would have been a few years later. I met this lady who got me into growing, and I spent a lot of nights just kind of hanging out with her and chit chatting and kind of just picking her brain and packing away that knowledge for later, and a lot of that stuff's paid off, yeah, man, it's been a wild ride the last few years. Getting back.
That's a pretty good influence there. I mean, if you could pick up something from like significant other, a grow, being taught how to grow would be hell of something to take away from a relationship, I would think.
Well, it was a friend of mine's mom, you know, like I ended up hanging out with her.
Oh,
um, I ended up hanging out, shooting the shit with her a lot and just picking her brain. And yeah, man, it was, you know, they used to do it all indoor, outdoor. Um, by the time I met them, you know, she was just doing a few inside in Rockwool with like the old Dutch A&B type shit, you know. This would have been, you know, early 90s. And yeah, man, there's just a lot of knowledge. And some of those old cuts that, you know, they didn't really, you know, there was no big name to it. Like they just called it bubble gum, but that was the fucking real deal, bubble gum. And you know, a few others that you know, stood the test of time. And it was kind of cool to uh, you know, now to be able to revisit some of that stuff, especially, you know, that first live plant that I ever saw, being able to get my hands on it again was like, it was really cool, man. Probably definitely not the rarest of cuts, but something that had a lot of nostalgia for me and a, you know, a connection with, you know, the beginning really. So pretty cool, man. Pretty cool.
so what was that kind of grow like? Were they organics? Were they like a cocoa?
Well,
How
she did.
was how'd they go?
Yeah, this was long before we figured out Coco Coir. This was like, you know, she had this. I don't know if it was bubble gum or the grape or whatever, but this one was growing in a fucking a plastic cup that you would get in an amusement park. You know, like a 16-ounce cup. It was just jam packed with Rockwool, and this fucking thing had been re-vegged, you know, 20 or 30 times. Um, and you know, it had bark on it. It was sold, and you know, so it was real simple. It was Rockwool, Dutch A, you know, A plus B. I don't even think it had a name brand. The you know, the store that she sent me to, the guy was buying it in bulk and just repacking it, you know, in his store. You know, printing out the label on his printer and fucking taping it to these bottles. So I couldn't even tell you what the brand was. It was so fucking long ago. But man, it's still, you know, even growing in Rockville, you know, they tasted and smelled and you know, were every bit apart. So she had a green thumb. She had two green thumbs.
That's pretty awesome. That's fucking really awesome, to be honest with you. So, how did it progress? When did it take off from you? When did you start
Um, well, I've got back into everything a few years ago, um, and you know, really just running flower and kind of doing my thing, making a little seed for myself and for my friends and whatnot. And then I grabbed a pack of Bodie's NL5 release from BCSC, these Northern Lights F3s, and this cat offered them up. They weren't cheap. I guess a few people had, you know, asked about it, and I didn't hesitate. I said, you know, sold. Let's go. And you know, so I'm doing my thing and um, posting up some pics of the ongoing grow, and people kept asking me, are you gonna have any of these extra? Are you gonna make any available? And I had enough people ask that I said, well, fuck it, I might as well dole off a few packs or whatever, make it worth you know, using up a big chunk of my room with nothing but seeded plants. Um, and it just kind of went from there. You know, I never had anything planned. It's kind of how it unfolded. So we start with the NL5.
so?
We started with the NL5, and you know, everybody was really stoked that you know, a dead seed line, something. But you know how Bodie is. He's got a lot of shit that he can do. So um, he'll pop off a run and then move on to something, you know, and move on to something else. So to have more of them out there, people were really stoked about it. So we went from the NL5, and then we did the chocolate tie from Snow High, passed to him from that was Howard's work originally, and just kind of gone from there. I've added a bunch of stuff to the library, and so we have a couple of different directions we're going to go. I want to stay with, how everything started was with, preserving these old lines, the dead lines, more like some landrace, or maybe not necessarily landrace, but heirloom type stuff, foundation stock. I did a quick run of Williams Wonder 2 years ago, I think. We got the lemon tie going. We're going to do another version of that coming up soon. So we got the preservation type stuff, and that's going to kind of branch out a little bit into what I'm currently testing out now. So we found a cool male with the NL5 run. I redid that again. We picked up another pack of those from Bodie. So we redid the F4s, and I found a nice male. I found two of them actually. We're testing out one currently. So we do the increase with the Northern Lights, and at the same time I can introduce a few females, and we'll test those out as we go. So right now, in testing, we have, by the NL5 guy, we have Papaya, Chem Lights, Puna Butter, Lemon G, Romulan, 86 Hindu, Mother of Berries, Ancient OG, and some Malibu Pure Kush. Probably about half of those are in testing right now, and then when we get time, we'll do the other half. So we're looking to maybe add a couple of those to this fall's drop. So we'll have chocolate tie F5 in the works. I have some Jamaican Gold Bud in the works. That's another preservation. We'll keep that line pure. And then later on, I'm going to get working on the Luang Prabang. It's a 14-week layouts that's on the board. So we're going to have some pure lines to go, and hopefully some of these Northern Lights out crosses will work out.
Sounds like you guys are doing a lot of work over there for sure. So what made you lean towards, the breeding side of cannabis? I mean, that takes up a lot of, good bud.
Yeah. It started out more as just, like I said, for myself and for my friends and whatnot. And as the demand went up, I just kind of followed that. Everything that I've done, like I may have started out in one direction, but this is I just kind of go where, I just kind of follow where it's led me, and running monocrops is, I don't know, it's kind of boring, to be honest. And especially out in an area like this, you got a lot of people that are doing their own thing, and in the summer, and so come fall, it's it's feast and famine with that kind of thing, really. So this this has been fun because it kind of lets me dig a little deeper into the stuff that I was doing just as an aside, and to kind of see what's coming out of some of the crosses that we've done. This I only had a few packs that I made available, and we're going to work the line further because there was just some real fucking rockets in there. The Astro Zombie, which is Hill Tribe Mung Thai, my juicy fruit selection by Vietnamese black male, and yeah, just a fucking great plant, man. And and to see how those came out, which I made, again, a couple of years ago, really kind of, gave me a little incentive to pursue making my own crosses and to see, some of the stuff that I had my hands on, some of the seed stock that I had my hands on, and people that, didn't have, maybe they weren't, some of these Bodie drops and that kind of stuff, like they go quick and there's not many of them. And, Bodie especially, encourages people to make more seed, because it can only do so much. So that was an easy start. And it also, again, it led to some of these outcrosses that I got to play with. I'll throw a female in with, this open pollination or whatever, just to get kind of an idea of what you're going to see from the cross, and then maybe you can select down and get one particular male. Yeah, it's been cool. It's just kind of naturally evolved, and I never had there was never a plan of, okay, I'm going to make this and this and this, and this is just kind of the way things have fallen together. I've ended up coming into contact with some very cool people that have helped me out quite a bit as far as procuring various seed stocks and different cuts and stuff like that. So it's been really cool, man. Fucking dream come true.
It sounds like an amazing dream, by the way. So, do you prefer to do your when you're putting together a strain? Do you prefer to pheno hunt, or do you prefer to work with a clone, or is it just dependent on what's available?
Well, I think this is kind of how it looks to be shaping up and how things have branched out. So I have the preservation work, keeping various lines as they are. And then we have the outcrosses, like these NL5 outcrosses. My hope with these is that the NL5 doesn't really do a whole lot, maybe adds a little vigor or improves the structure, just the overall strength of the plant, so that people can hopefully get a nice whiff of the clone only that it was used against. And then the other part of my, the kind of the longer term stuff, which again goes back to the Astro Zombie that I talked about. That was a selected female out of the seed run that I had popped. Same with the male. That I find a little more interesting than just taking a clone only and smacking it up with a, with a male and calling it a day. Again, there's a purpose to some of that. You have some people that, they just, they can't keep a big library. They prefer popping seeds. And, a lot of the seeds that I bought over the years was, well, I really like that female, or I really like what I see that male did in various, other outcrosses. And so that's why you're buying the seeds, because you want a good sniff of that, one of those parents. So that's kind of the point of the outcrosses, those kind of, not a true F1, but a one and done first generation outcross. Give people a taste of the clone only, and then the longer term work is stuff that maybe we've selected more out of. I'm hoping to find. There's a couple more plants that I want to hit up with this NL5 guy. And out of those, I'm hoping to find my next male to start using against some other stuff that I've found in various seed runs. Like I've found the Puna butter and my God's paintbrush cut. There's a few that I'd like to kind of continue on with, and again, that Astro Zombie line, the that Hill Tribe Mung Tai is just so fucking solid. I think out of anything, I've probably pushed that. Anything that I've had in stock, I've probably pushed that the most, because just what a nice plant. It's a nice middle of the road. It doesn't run too. You can find some longer running gals in there, better than 16 weeks, but they're fairly tame. Had that great, there's a lot of fruit, some musk, and a little bit of kind of woodiness in there. But I just love the structure, and they're pretty easy going. You get a little nanner here and there at the very end, but fuck, nothing that's blowing dust everywhere on week 2 or something like that. Worth the fucking squeeze, I'd say. So lots of fun shit out there to be found, man. So many cool people doing great collections. Really excited to try and reintroduce some old, heirloom genetics back into the gene pool, and maybe freshen it up a little bit, or maybe recover some, maybe some traits that were initially selected away from. You kind of get the norm and everybody likes a certain thing, and then before you know it, you got 3rd, 4th, 5th generation seeds where it's really a bitch to find maybe some of the more obscure terpene profiles and things of that nature.
You've already kind of alluded a little bit to my next question there, but so when you said I'm hoping to find my next male there, how important is the male, and what does he offer in a breeding?
Well, there's really only one way to find out, and that is to breed them, and breed them preferably against several females, and preferably against females that you've bred before, so you know what they do, right? And then you can see what they do with this particular male that you're looking at. And if you don't have extensive experience with any females, at least try and breed them against several different ones, so that you can try and pick out, okay, well, I know what she is by herself. Now we're looking at her progeny with this guy, and we're going to compare those with that of the progeny from another female with that same male. So you can, try and pick up which traits possibly that male is throwing forward. Again, some really don't, they just don't do a whole lot. And in certain cases, that may be exactly what you want. You got a fucking raging female, and, it didn't come from seed stock. It was a bag seed, or, miracle bean or whatever. And you want something to hit her with that won't really do a whole lot. Like, maybe speed it up a little, maybe add a little, thicker stalks or something like that. I got one plant that's just about perfect in every fucking way, except that, she needs crutches by week 4. She's doing the party girl flop. So, yeah, the best way to find out what the guy's doing is you got to look at the kids. That's, we can study the structure and, pick the guy that, flowers a certain way or whatever, what have you. But at the end of the day, you're not going to know shit about the male until you look at their kids. Unfortunately enough, I'm sure there's like, fancy equipment these days, and, people in lab coats that can figure this shit out quicker than I could. But, as far as my understanding of it is breed them, look at the progeny, and then you can kind of get an idea as to what he's doing, because, there's only, you pick out a great looking guy, right? Pick out one with great structure, pick out one that, Maybe it's just really rank, whatever that may be. It's just, every time you brush by the fucking thing, it just, it just stinks a little. Or whatever, and go from there. But there's no guarantees. There's no guarantees. If I'm doing an open or like doing like a line breeding type thing, and I have a select female that I really enjoy and I want to, continue the line with her, I'll go through and, I'll start with males that look as much like her as possible. I'm trying to find her twin and then go from there. That would be, but again, it's like, hey, dude, you don't know, man. You could, pick a fella that you think checks all the boxes and, kids come out all fucked up or just, he just doesn't do what you want him to do. Right. Like maybe he's a frosty little bastard, but he doesn't pass that on. Maybe he has great structure and he's really sturdy, but his progeny didn't receive that. So yeah, it's there's really no, again, without a lab and a lot of technical knowledge, it's more or less just a crapshoot.
That's why I've always said that, the price of a pack of seeds is fucking worth, for the most part, worth what they want for it. You hear people that want beans for next to nothing, but man, you're just underlining, the passion and hard work that goes into a strain. A good strain just doesn't necessarily. I guess sometimes it does. Sometimes it does. But that's, freak situations, but not nothing that's super dependable. Really needs to be worked. There's a lot of time that goes into finding that male and female, and then testing on top of that. It doesn't happen overnight. There's, nutrients, power, time. There's a lot that goes into a good strain.
Yeah, and it's really not it's not a lot different than the wood shop in that, yes, I end up with finished sellable products, but there's a lot of shit that ends up in the bin. And you don't get paid for that. You don't get paid for fuck ups. You don't get paid, for seeds that don't make the grade. They literally end up, well, I make sprout tea. I joke to say they end up in the bird feeder, but I end up making like sprout tea and shit with them. But it's still like you don't get paid for those. You don't get that space back. You don't get the all that time and money you put into it. So yeah, it's not necessarily a matter of shaking a male over a bunch of ladies and calling it 6 weeks later calling it a fucking day.
I can't help but ask to bringing it up in chat, but with a name like Jimmy Toucan, you obviously have a nose for cannabis, right?
What's that now? What's that?
I said they're saying something in chat. I can't help but acknowledge it. With a name like Jimmy Toucan, you obviously have to have a great nose for cannabis, eh?
Yeah, a big fucking guinea nose. Yeah.
It doesn't.
Yeah, it used to be a lot better. It used to be a lot better. I've been retraining it. The last few years. It's been different. But
so how does the dirty bird stuff come into play? I can't help. No, I can't help.
Oh man, it's. I don't know if I want to give that up. I don't know. It has to do with a really dirty fucking chihuahua. a really dirty Chihuahua, and doing things that you just shouldn't be done.
Oh, that's
I mean,
hilarious.
I guess. I mean, it was consensual, but yeah, no, we'll just leave it at that. He's a dirty, dirty bird.
That is just funny. Funny. But,
So,
so yeah. So how do you grow organically now?
I have actually settled on a hybrid of the two. Um, for a while I was purely cocoa, and then I started slowly hybridizing that with amendments to the coir itself. Lots of rock dust, and then I started dumping in rock dust for all the minerals and all that. Like the micronutrients and shit like that, I guess. There's all kinds of little shit, right? That I always saw was like the biggest drawback with hydro feed is that, they give you like the 16 essentials, and that was pretty much it, So that was the first edition. And then I got into doing teas and shit. So I'd add some worm castings and a little bit of malted barley and shit like that into the coir, and started making teas and stuff like that with, worm castings and what is it? The worm frass from Frass Valley. Those cats there, nice product. And so I ended up with a kind of a mix of the two. I like the way I can water cocoa. I like being able to, every week or so, I rush them all to get, flushed out, kind of. I don't want to say flush. It's not the proper, that's not it. But I water to a nice bit of runoff every few days to just kind of keep everything squeaky. That was one tip that the old gal taught me. Growing in hydro, growing in rock wool, she said every periodically you want to run just a straight water through low pH and just kind of clean out all that excess shit, because your plants aren't going to eat equally everything that you fucking every bit of input when you're feeding out of a bottle, or at any rate, they're not going to eat equally what you put in there. There's going to be a little extra of this, a little less of that, and over time that shit builds up, and that's where a lot of times you run into problems in Rockwool. And she knew what she was talking about, because like I said, she had a fucking 4-foot tall plant that was growing in 16 ounces of Rockwool, for Christ's sakes. So I like that you can kind of give them that good fucking refresh. It's like a good hard rain, right? And I don't have to use giant pots. I can get away with a 2-gallon, and that's as big as I'll ever need, as far as as for the size that I'm going for right now. So yeah, I've settled in on that. I can feed teas. You can't really do that in a Rockwool setup. So we do foliars and teas, and I dump some extra shit in the cocoa, and it seems to turn out pretty well. I think it's a pretty fair compromise. When I get to a certain point, a little more permanent spot, I'd definitely like to be cultivating more soil. But we'll get there. A little bit at a time. Right now we're stuck on we're settling on the hybrid system. It works all right.
I love my cocoa. I'm just kind of getting back into the soil myself. So far, so good. So far, so good.
Right, right.
I thought maybe I might have a little it might throw the watering aspect of it might throw me off, but I fell right back into the loop. Was it just like riding a bike?
Right.
It hasn't been bad. So,
Right on.
I'm looking forward to the possibility of maybe at some point getting bed going, but that's a long time down. Long time down the road.
Yeah, so I run a hybrid setup down below, and currently the Cycle Optics Green Beams 315 watt CMH in all the flower spots, which are nice because like they don't run real hot. I don't have a ton of fucking power to run right here, so we're just playing it safe. We do little small these little 300 watt lights, which are pretty cool. I at the time when I was getting set up, I didn't know shit about LEDs. They've come a long way just in the last like 5 years, so we just got picked up by Mars Hydro. We're going to check out some of their gear here shortly. And hopefully I can not make a jackass out of myself switching over, just doing one little spot to check it out, and then we'll see how it goes. But I dig the CMH bulbs, right? I get a fair pull out of them, if we're running, multi strains, kind of fucking a little bit of chaos in there, and we're pulling, we're running a gram a watt. It's like that. It's fucking awesome. Shit. People doing a lot better for sure, running, much better environmental controls and things like that. But I'm happy for how we're set up here. Yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with how those lights produce. But yeah, maybe we'll maybe I'll have some luck with these LEDs. I checked them out the other night. Oh, they're the Samsung diodes and all the proper components, I guess, and a couple pretty cool features that we'll show off when the stuff arrives, and yeah, we'll check it out. What the hell? Can't hurt.
I've had good experience with Mars Hydro lights. Some of the ones they're putting forward now are really, really good lights. I have nothing bad to say with it. Honestly, for the economic price of it all, especially for beginning growers, just to see, if it's something you're interested in versus, buying a lot of these big high powered lights. They're all right. They're all right. But, good luck. I can't wait to see how they do for you, my friend. I'm gonna be following along.
Yeah, and at first I was skeptical because I don't know. I don't know if I don't know anyone that runs them. Of course, I don't really pay too much attention. There's a couple of brands that I'm familiar with, but and I went and checked it out, and they have some the lower end stuff is like what you would expect, but their new lines are, well, what you would expect from the next gen kind of companies, with the kind of that ladder setup, you know what I mean? So you got the two horizontals, and then the rungs in between that are basically your light bars, and so they're real lightweight, and well, we'll have to see how they do. But they, they're a lot like, what I would expect out of the competition and some of the stuff that the other guys are running. So I figure, what the hell, we'll give them a shot and we'll give it a fair run and put some of our best girls in there and see how they do.
Yeah, I think you'll be impressed. I think you'll be impressed. So you do also do some woodworking. I picked up on. Tell me a little bit about that, my friend, if you don't mind getting a little offbeat.
No, that's all good, man. No, that basically just started with uh, me and a friend of mine sitting around getting high and talking about how we should make rolling trays, and yeah, I just made it happen. I was like, you know what, that's not a bad idea. No, that's a good idea. Well, that's kind of, again, grown organically. We rolling trays was the idea, and then it was, well, what else do you make? What else can you make? And so we, started making stash boxes and keef boxes. Um, separate your glands or whatever from the flour. We have some artwork. The Canabarium prints are fucking tits, man. Use males that we, come along in the preservation projects and this, that, and the other thing. And I press them. It's called an herbarium press. It's what, like, a botanist was used to catalog their native species and such. So we do that with the males, and once they're pressed, they spray them, preserve them, and then glue them to this handmade hemp paper, and then mount it to a, like a backing board, or acid-free backing board kind of material that, like, you would store a comic book with, right? So it doesn't break down the paper. We take all that and put it under UV blocking acrylic and frame it up, and they're pretty popular. Great piece of artwork to put on the wall. Pretty unique. You'll never have another exact copy, right? Because it's a fucking actual live plant and not a like a print. Which I could do that as well, but the presses are really cool. And that I have to credit AK Bean Brains. He posted up. He presses some for this, this preservation society, I guess. It does, cannabis, catalogs cannabis that way. So he had posted up a quick little demo of him, having added on his Instagram account there, and I was like, fuck, that is cool. So, well, what about, like, making artwork out of it, though, framing it under glass or something like that? And yeah, so I made that happen. And now I have this cool paper, right? So it was fucked up. Like, you could buy 3 sheets, or I could buy 100 sheets of this paper. So I finally got sick of, ordering 3 at a time. I just bought this big stack, and so I made lamps, the Japanese shoji style lamps. I made a couple of those. I should make some more. I think people would really dig those as well. I made them for myself and one for a friend. So there's some other stuff.
Cool.
I got to kind of, just again, it just kind of happens, and people request shit, and all right, well, maybe I can do this, maybe I can do that, and I don't know, it's a good outlet, and it's a good skill to have, like trying to, learning, working with your hands, and it's yeah, it's been fun. I got the
It
laser
is.
engraver that
I
burns all
share the
kinds of
passion.
shit. And, the leather products, the leather journals are a big hit. Those are super easy, you know. They bang those out on the laser engraver. And you can pick up shirts and swag and that kind of basic stuff too. So you check it out, and if there's anything that you know, I do all. It's mostly custom work too. You know, it's mostly by request, and yeah, they keep me busy enough. So come check us out.
That's awesome. I greatly appreciate some fine woodworking. I have a love for it myself. To be
Right
honest
on,
with
man.
you.
Yeah, my grandfather used to hammer away down in the basement. He had a little wood shop out back as well, but he actually built some of the toys I had as a kid. So it's cool to be able to kind of revisit that a little bit, and you know, be able to kind of make some stuff that is you know, that'll last, right? You know, we gotta live in a plastic world. You get a fucking rolling tray made out of leopard wood, you can, you know, roll your joint and fend off an attacker and go back to rolling another joint. Um, something you can maybe pass down, something that's around for years, you know.
Well, as you spoke, the leaf head being individual, that's the one thing I've loved about wood is that every piece is a lot of times individual. At least in a lot of stuff I build, you know, I actually when I'm building a nice piece, I will take it depending on where it's at. You know, if it's the face of a dresser or you know a top or something, I am looking over that board for beautiful patterns. Shit, I set stuff. I've got stuff I have set apart. You know, quilted maples that are just beautiful. That I'm like, oh, you know, I'll do something with that someday. But you know, I look for little things like that. You know, and they're very individual. You know what I mean? Each piece to me says it's has its own little thing to it, a little vibe with it. I love woodworking for that. It's, and again, it's very rewarding. It's very rewarding.
Yeah, I do that. I do that exact thing too. Like I'll pick through my, you know, my if I get a you know a stack in or whatever, I'll go through them and you know pick out what's going to make out frames, what would be good for this. Sometimes I'll dig something out and it'll be like, all right, this is you know this everything's got a you know a purpose. I try and make sure that I utilize you know every little bit of it I can. Because that shit ain't cheap either, you know, especially the exotic woods. Um, so yeah, like so a lot of the times, like the wood defines what the project's going to be, not the other way around, right? So that's kind of that's interesting, and really, like it's a lot of the way. It's the same way with you know with the plants. They decide they define what you know what's going to happen, and you know in the case of like these outcrosses that I work on. A lot of the times it just happens to like, all right, who do I have lined up and ready to go? Who can I get in there and at least for a tester? You know, who makes sense and then who lines up. And it might take a couple of rounds, you know, because not everybody's ready to go at once. Thank God. Um, but you know, so just kind of, you know, they kind of direct things a little bit, you know. And you can try you know you can have something in mind you know you're you know intent on making happen and it just you know the cross doesn't work out you know the two just maybe you got to find a different nail maybe you just got to scrap it and go back you know um and so here just you know like I have a general path but then you know the actual destination is more decided by the girls.
have anything in particular that you're most proud of so far? Or is
Oh
that
man.
an unfair question?
Well, well, the what is it? The Mullumbimby Mamba was such a fucking cool surprise, and that's another one that I want to continue to work with. Because that was just again, that was a couple of years ago when I did a small increase on some Mullumbimby Madness that had been collected from Kangativa. And so I was doing a small increase there, and I had a particular male that I had, my eye on. And so I threw him in with the only female that was ready at the time, or that had lined up, and it was this Strawberry Mamba #4. I don't know if it was from Anunnaki. I got it through the guy from Anunnaki Genetics, and I'm not sure if he's the one that bred it though or not. But anyway, she just happened to be ready, and I was like, well, it's cool because a lot of the Mullimbimbis you can find like kind of like a dark raspberry-ish kind of genotype popping up in there. And so it's like, all right, well, Strawberry Mamba, it's mostly flavor, and it's a little short cush bush. The kids should end up somewhere, in the middle would be kind of cool, right? And that was maybe leaned a little towards the Mullumbimby side, I would say, especially in effect, and that's where they would just shine. They're really cool, big bud structure, but with like a looser feel to them, right? Like they, big flowers, but not real densely packed. Lots of fruit, a little bit of that woody incense to them, maybe a little bit of like cedar note kind of thing. But the ride was the fucking coolest because it started out almost with that, that indica type buzz that start you off real relaxed, and you think you're starting to sink away into the couch, and then 10-15 minutes into that fucking thing and kick into second gear, and your eyeballs would peel back, and away you go. Accidental though, or not, not exactly accidental, but definitely not a like, okay, these are gonna be no, it's fucking, she's ready, get her in there, and the Astro Zombie, and another one that just, there's a few in there. I have a handful of those left. We're gonna take it another generation. I want to sift through until we find a few of those Rocket Ride girls, and kind of work the line with them, because during my testing, at the time I had a bunch of other shit going on, so I just dried what I had. I had probably 7 different females, and they all ended up getting kind of mixed and matched. I was like, oh fuck it, I'm just gonna smoke through this whole thing, and if it's good, it's good. But there were a few in there that just they were just incredible, man. So we're gonna go look for those and see if we can't kind of get those to be a little more common. You want to be able to have your choice of a few of those in a pack, right? So yeah, but that was a big win. We'll just have to see if we can kind of capitalize on it and make something available to people. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff to come though, man. We got the lemon tie guy on deck. I've tested him out against a couple of girls so far. Gonna make more of the pineapple OG by lemon tie here pretty shortly. And let's see what we got going on here. We got Bodie's cut of lemon Thai, the lemon Thai 57. Mr. Kiona was gracious enough to see that I got hooked up with his cut of Vietnamese black, the BB 164. We also have the Cuban black. It's going to be on deck with the lemon Thai, the Frankie's haze, a lemon Himalayan, and we got monkey paw and lima limon that we're going to make sure get their way in with the lemon Thai guy as well. There's a few more that'll come up, I'm sure. I haven't gone through everybody yet, but we got a good start, and I really like what what we saw in the pineapple outcross. I like what we saw in the next generation of the lemon Thai that he was a part of. So high hopes for this for the lemon Thai line.
Can't throw Sensimilia in chat would like me to ask you about the cockfighter cut.
The cockfighter, and someone asked me about that earlier on IG, and I really don't have a whole lot of story to it other than these beans were collected in if I'm saying it right, the Baguio region of the Philippines. They were brought back this way, and then they were popped and selected by a real deal chicken fighter guy, and that's his cut of the Filipino. So it runs and runs and runs. I took her last time at I think 17 weeks. It was probably 2 or 3 harvest windows easy. With those longer flowering girls, you'll notice that a lot of times they'll just keep, they'll maybe plateau a little bit, but if you don't chop them right away, they'll start to push out fresh stigmas and maybe foxtail a little more, and kind of keep going. So you have kind of these waves of windows with these longer flowering girls, and I think I want to say I took her at like 16 weeks. She's a good one. She's worth the squeeze.
17 weeks. Oh, I'm sure she is, man. Wow, that is amazing. The longest I've had the patience to be able to take something in was indoors, was 12 weeks. And I tell you, it ran and pulled it at so many different, times. And even at 12 weeks, it had room to go. It could have went. But I was like, I told myself, this is the last fucking run of this thing. It's got it had my schedule, my perpetual harvest all fucked up. It was a tester. And it was like, warning, hey, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. This is gonna take fucking forever.
Well, that's why you gotta mix in the quick gals, you gotta mix in some fast ones, and then you just take that long flowering girl and you tie that fucking bitch up in the corner and you just let her go. I literally have a trellis on the wall of one of my tents for that specific reason, and I just weave them in and out, and we'll just paste it right to lay flat to the wall. Kind of like espalier training for fruit trees. But yeah, man, it's definitely a test of your patience. It's a test of your your skills, and man, they'll drive you nuts. They're not easy. Indoors, indoors, you can limit their root size. That'll help speed them up a little bit. If you give them, if you let them, especially like, I see guys you're growing in beds and whatnot, where the roots can really stretch and stretch. Plants are going to run a little longer than if the roots are restricted. If that root ball fucking, can only go so far, they tend to finish off a little faster. So, it's they can be challenging. Some you just you're just better off putting them outside. But yeah, you can wrangle them in there. Why not? We're gonna go to town on these 68 Jamaican lamb spread here. We got them sorted and pre-flowered now. I'm gonna throw them back into veg and get them cloned and
see
what happens.
I appreciate the tip on the smaller root size there on the longer ones, because it's I understand and I appreciate the fact that's where the strength in super strong cannabis lies, in my opinion, are in some of the longer, weak strains. You're right. I do need to be a little bit more patient on that. That one in particular, I got to give it some credit. It actually had me so worked up for a while. I wouldn't even talk about it. When people brought it up, I'd be like, "Fuck that strain! Fuck that strain!"
Yeah, man.
Actually come to terms with it, but man, it was crosses in it were Locomotion by TGA, which was a super loud strain. That Blueberry Diesel was super loud, and Moto Breath was another super loud strain. And it was amazing for extracts, but I never could finish her up. And I tried, but I just didn't have the patience. Maybe I still have some seeds, maybe again. Someday.
Well, you try one of the, you get like an intermediate kind of, more narrow leaf type of ride plant, something that finishes around 13 weeks, something that's kind of easy going, 13, 14 weeks, easy going, that'll break in. Once you grow one of those, you'll want to fucking, that'll give you some confidence, and if you like the effect and you want something, you're like, oh, well, that was cool. Maybe we can get something, maybe, turn it up even, even higher. That'll give you the confidence to venture into, something that maybe runs even longer and is even more electric or, even possibly psychedelic. Just always seems that those types of things just take longer, right? The really, the fucking rocket rides always take, that extra time, it seems like. So, but to get there, yeah, man, work your way up. Start with something that, like I said, that that Hill Tribe, that Mung Thai, that's that 13 weeker there. I gotta go through some more of those seeds. I gotta, maybe find a male, because I love that female so much that maybe it's time to find a male. Yeah.
I've heard you mention the ties quite a few times. What in particular about that cultivar stands out for you?
On the Mung Thai? Yeah, the effects.
On any of the Thai.
Pardon?
And the Thai in general. You referenced the chocolate, the lemon. It sounds like you're a little partial there. To the Thai.
Yeah, it did just kind of happen that way, but yeah, it does turn out that I really enjoy them too, though, right? Like, like I've gone through a lot of shit over the last 3 or 4 years, and they definitely stand out. And it does happen that they're all Thai, and they're all a little different too. Like my chocolate Thai girl that I capped out of that run, she's like Um, uh, well, I passed some over to a friend of mine, and he had, he took some over to his buddy, the old man on the hill, and he, they rolled up a doobie, and the dude was just like, kind of floating around the garden with a fucking grin on his face, just kind of like, yeep. And that's the best description. Like, what does it do? Well, that's it. He was just like, you know, a little bit of euphoria and just kind of a dreamy, happy, fucking let's go garden kind of high. And so that's what I get out of her. The I haven't finished flowering out Bodie's cut yet, but the one that I kept to the lemon tie, yeah, again had a nice little fucking pizzazz to it without being real. There's definitely no paranoia in either of those. Not for me anyway. The Hmong tie was a little racier, and there are some more kind of curtain grabbing selections to be found in there, but they're mellow, and you can smoke them, and it's maybe not quite a no ceiling type of high, but it's definitely not. You can keep smoking that shit, and you can keep getting fucking high on it. Maybe not quite like a Colombian, but no, that's real enjoyable. It doesn't put you into the couch. It doesn't make you I smoke. I like to smoke. Love the flavor. So I don't necessarily want to be taking a fucking nap every 2 hours. So yeah, I was drawn to those, and they're definitely some of my favorite keepers, the Hmong and the chocolate, especially the lemon. I got to get back from a buddy of mine. But yeah, they're pretty awesome, as they are. Again, uh, uh, for me anyway, a happy medium. That's like an all day kind of smoke. The longer running shit is cool when you're ready for that kind of uh, ride. But for the most part, these are great all-purpose. I can go to sleep on it if need be, and they're not gonna knock me out, or knock the knock the energy out of me or anything like that. So yeah, I definitely like the ties. I like the ties.
I like the fact that you bring that up, man. I've tested some strains that have actually made me question my health. That's why I don't. That's why this whole sleepy thing is why I grew out some OG Kush a long time ago that was just pure gas, jet fuel, and then I learned a lesson with that roundabout monocropping, because I was just down for months. But as a tester, I test a lot of strains too, and sometimes you don't know what you're gonna get. And man, like I said, sometimes, man, the things make me question my health, man. You smoke one and it said uppity buzz two, a week or two into that, you're like, man, I just can't fucking stay awake, man. I've been down.
Yeah, man.
Then you go, well, fuck, man, you smoke a lot of weed. Maybe it's that new shit you smoked.
Yeah. So that's definitely one of my goals in kind of making seeds here, is to get some stuff that I can, like, the kind of smoke that I can smoke pretty much all fucking day and not get real cloudy or dumb. I need a nice, clear, energetic buzz without being too fucking wild. We can save that for another cut, right? But for your average, like, kind of daily driver types, your go-tos, yeah, that's my goal. So we want to definitely revisit. Um, we're gonna revisit that Mullumbimby Mamba. Continue that line forward. Maybe mix that in with the Mung Thai or the Mung Thai Viet cross, the Astro Zombie, something like that. But that's just again, you know, that wasn't a hard thought out project or anything like that. It just lined up and they turned out pretty fucking cool. So we'll definitely revisit those and the Astro Zombie, and I'm looking forward to that. Might have to be tamed down a little bit for some people, but we'll see. There's lots to work with, and um, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Sounds like some amazing stuff coming up.
I hope so. I mean, it's again, it can make all the sense in the world on paper, and if it's not the right male or just not the right cross overall, it's just not going to work out. But we'll throw a
Again,
bunch.
I hate to point that out, but you're absolutely right, man. That back to that pack of seeds. Price of that pack of seeds, man.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah.
lot
Again,
inbreeding, just like you say. They're not all winners. There's a lot of strikeouts in that process as well, And unfortunately, that's somewhat in the price a little bit. There's some ups and downs, and but it is what it is. There's time, like we said earlier, a lot of time and effort into that. A lot of, and like, I'm glad you pointed out that it's a good one because it's very true. You don't know, you really don't know until you throw it out there. So, do you have any in particular male that you are currently working with, or one that you is like the backbone of it all?
no. You know, the two. Well, the lemon tie was a standout right from the go. Like I have some. Uh, there's a few pics of him on my IG feed. He's a fucking honker. Um, and all his progeny. He definitely adds that similar flower structure. He himself wasn't a big resin producer, but the line, like his sisters were, like his sisters are just stupid, like that resin all over the petioles and shit. That comes through from him, judging by what we've seen out of his children, from the couple that we've crossed him to. So right now, like he's the most proven, and the NL5, we're gonna find out exactly what he's all about. That wouldn't be, it's like the NL5 guy and the outcrosses there. That would be like a first step, right? So there's a few in particular that I'm looking forward to seeing, the progeny. And you know, if they meet expectations, then maybe that's where I would start to look for my next fella. Because we're looking for, just a little fucking frost boss with a knockdown power. That'll be our kind of broadleaf, quick finishing side, our male to feature for that kind of stuff, at least for the time being. So there's a few girls that we got eyeballed for that, and we'll have to see how they pan out. The Black Maui male, I got I got a couple of things that I'm testing out from him. And then let me think here. We got a Cherry West mail that we're going to check out. And then a buddy of mine is he is going to possibly, we're going to see about bringing in an old white rhino and possibly a chronic male. Do some little throwback work, you know. I like old shit. I like old shit, you know, and you know, maybe other people will too, even if just for the, you know, to kind of revisit some of that old stuff. It's not gonna, you know, you're not reinventing any wheels or anything, but yeah, it might be fun for some, you know, for some people. We'll see what see what the feedback is and whether it's worth the time and the effort. I think it'd be kind of cool. You know, especially with that white rhino male, that'd be a lot of fun. Especially I have a couple of white widow cuts that would be you know, that would be neat to see, you know, what comes out of that. It's kind of a back cross of some sorts, right? It's all similar seed stock, I believe. In fact, it might even be the same male or the same female in one respect. So we'll see. Just a lot of great possibilities out there right now, and we'll just you know, see where it takes us. I you know, I like to get feedback from the people on Instagram, and you know, kind of see what the see what the demand is and what people are digging on, and offer something like it, and you know, maybe offer something a little different too, you know, kind of tease them over to the trying something that they maybe wouldn't have normally tried. So try and have a variety of different stuff, and you know, if it all works out, we'll have a nice little drop this fall. We're doing a preliminary drop from some gear that I still have on hand. I'll go through the list real quick. It'll be Ruby Vine Afghani, Neville's Haze 21 by Mullenbimby Madness F3, Yukia Berry Lemon Tie, Purple Pakistani Shit Trial, Northern Lights number 5, and Vietnamese Black, all going up on, let's see here, with the cats from the Future Cannabis Project. They're found at www.dagga, that's DAGGA, .love. And also Labyrinth Seed Company is going to get most of the drop there. And then James Bean from Seeds Here Now is going to get a package as well. And that'll kick it off, you know, our official seed bank drops. And then this fall, we'll hopefully have a nice lineup to add to that. We'll see how that Northern Lights guide pans out. We do have, you know, like I had mentioned, some other stuff that's in the works as well. Some straight lines, whether they're, you know, the Jamaican or I'm going to do a more focused breeding of the Pakistani. I do have the Pakistani purple, the purple Pakistani male on deck as well. So maybe we can fit him in. I don't know. We'll have to see. With the weather turning, we got a little extra space opened up. And maybe we can fire him off. It just depends on what else is going on. So maybe, but yeah, we'll have a few different of the heirlooms and whatnot, and then whatever comes out of these NL5 testers. So fingers crossed on those, man.
it sounds like a pretty full card, man. Sounds like a pretty full card. What do you do with all that sweet, stinky, fucking seeded bud?
Most of like the seeded shit, like I just let it dry, and then run it over a screen that splits most of the seeds out. I collect, a good amount of the glands. I make a little fucking, usually like, I'll be taking down, a few different plants all seeded with the same guy. So we'll do just one at a time. We'll run them all over the screen, and so I'll end up with a, kind of like a hodgepodge hash out of the out of what's left. I do need to dedicate some sensimilla space so I can make some proper bubblegum hash this spring. So this summer, I've been
That, that's one thing that I'm almost wondering. I think I can't wait to see. I can't wait to see if you'll at one point. Hopefully, this will stay. It'll sit in the back of your mind. But I think the bubble hash that you'll make out of that seeded bud, or you know what I mean, versus the bubble you'll make out of the Sensimedia, I'm willing to bet your seeded bubble will be better and stronger than your Sensimedia bubble from the same strain. And you will know that because you created it. You should be able to pick out the subtlety with it.
yeah, I'll have to make note of that and like see if I can't set aside some pure fucking seedless, like whatever, and then some that's been, because I mean, again, I haven't sat down to like really take note of it, but I've heard, or at least have, people say that in their, like in their experience anyways, that the seeded weed was, you could say it's better. At the very least, it's different, I guess, right?
I'm not gonna say it's better, but I think that's the missing link that
right.
we remember.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Now to back in the day.
Well, there's also possibly something to the cure as well, where there's, because there's more of a, maybe not intentionally, right, but just, from being bricked up the way it is or was, right, that green brown brickweed, it had the capability anyway of having a cure to it, right? Like, I don't know if you're familiar with the Malawi cob curing process. So they take, you take your herb and, they grow these really wispy sativas, right? So after just a couple of days where the outsides of the flower is crispy, but it's still juicy in the middle, they'd take the plant and wrap it up real tight, wrap the flowers up real tight in corn husks, and then put the corn, put these bundles in the thatch in their roofs to cure. And so the heat and the pressure and the lack of oxygen and all these things combined to create like this kind of alcoholic fermentation, I guess, right? And so it breaks the plant down a bit differently than just if you had hung it, and dried it. And so there's a little bit to it, I guess, and that does change the chemical makeup of the plant, converts this and that or whatever. But anyway, this cat, he started this thread over on IC Mag about this whole process. And so, he's pretty much got it down to a freaking science. And this guy, like, he eats it. It's to the point where like it's been totally converted where He just takes a little slice, like tenths of a gram, and straight up chews on the shit. And then eventually swallows it and gets high as fuck. Because it's already gone through that, whatever it is, dropping the carboxyl group or whatever the fuck it is. I don't, it's not exactly my wheelhouse, but, people out there will be able to correct me. Um, but just a whole different approach and a whole different high, I guess. Well, yeah, I that's possible, huh? You have like
We have a gentleman
this
in here
brickweed that
around.
had that same effect. What's that
We have
now?
a gentleman around. We have a gentleman that around the cannabis genetic memory farms there that is been working that process as well. I wonder if he isn't part of that thread. But it takes away the smell too, doesn't it? It's kind of, you can be a
Yeah.
little incognito with that same process.
Oh, it takes, the smell changes completely, and the fucking bag appeal, forget about it. They look like, you know, um, so the whole process of wrapping it and then tying them, you tie them wicked tight. So you try and, trap all that shit in there. They come out looking pretty gnarly, dude. Some of them look like little fox turds or something, right? But yeah, I guess you know, that's a common thing, for them, and in that region, and probably not. I I imagine there's similar preparations in other areas of the world, but that I'm just wondering if it doesn't have something in common though with the whole brickweed thing, and just that whole packaging process of bricking it up was similar to that cob curing, and maybe it did, and it was. I mean, it's like it was Mexican weed to begin with, so it was fucking. It should have been kind of spacey to begin with, right?
Almost like a midway rosin press on it. I never really thought about it, but you might be on with something there. I wanted, before I get too further into that, because I think you're onto something. I wanted to throw out another something I've learned lately with another guest I interviewed was Gus Rose, and he kind of is doing a similar process, I guess, as that, but when he's growing tobacco inside of his tent too, but instead of the corn cob, the corn husk, he's like ripping off a leaf of that fresh tobacco and rolling the cannabis in there, and then rolling it in tinfoil and drying it like that.
Right on.
But kind of similar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of weird.
Yeah. Again, so maybe there's similar, um, similar type preparations in various parts of the world. Like, okay, so it's a little different here or there. Like the tobacco leaf, or yeah, it's pretty cool though. But and there's got to be something to it, and it reminds me of this cat who built he wanted to look into the whole curing process a little deeper. And really the only thing we have to compare it to, I guess, right, is tobacco. Like, what else do we fucking dry and smoke on a mass fucking scale? Like we do tobacco and cannabis. So he started looking into the curing process of tobacco, and then kind of translated that into a device, or a cabinet that would replicate the whole tobacco process, right? So there's a heat element. It's not just a room temperature thing. You have to fucking add some heat. I don't know what temperature he ended up, deciding on or whatever worked for him. But either way, the device had some ventilation, it had a heating system, and the whole idea was that that you would pile the shit up. You wouldn't hang it so that the like all pretty like, right? You'd pile it up and then turn this fucking thing on, and you'd have to turn the pile a couple times, but it didn't take long for it to dry out. It did speed the process up a little bit, but then it was according to him, I never smoked anything out of this thing, but apparently this was again, similar processes involved. Apparently he said that there was an alcoholic fermentation that takes place, and where the plant burns up whatever it needs, carbohydrates or whatever. It needs the heat in order for all that shit to take place. The alcoholic fermentation won't take place at room temperature. Kind of from what I recall. General idea. This was many years ago, but that's the basic ideas that he took these principles from curing tobacco, and then and you can see the similarities to the African cob curing, and then again with the one you mentioned with the tobacco leaf. So yeah, they're all they all have that, again, the wrapping up and sealing off after you've kind of dried the plant halfway, wrap it up tight, and then store it someplace warm so that it can ferment, or I guess I don't know if that's the right word, but yeah, man, like I said, horrible bag appeal, but it's supposed to just space you the fuck out. So something I definitely need to give a try.
I can't believe that the old breakweed presses there weren't the beginning of rosin press. I can't believe somebody did,
Right.
push that a little forward. Somebody didn't scrape the compactor and go, hey.
Well, yeah, they
That's
probably
the
had
shit.
some kids scrape the damn thing so it'll work, Yeah, you keep the shit, just scrape it, keep it clean. Imagine all the resin that was just packed in on those machines, though, right?
Had to be tons. Those were crazy days, man. I hope that the future generations just never see that shit other than possibly preserved in a cannabis museum at some point.
Man, I'll tell you what though, I wish I would have kept bag seed that, we just didn't, we didn't realize what, and I don't know if we ever had any really stellar Mexican. This was shit. This was in the fucking 90s. So we never really had any stellar Mexican anyway. But I mean, think back, if you were a teenager in the 70s, were you thinking about putting those beans away? Because by now all that shit is tainted, right? Pretty much anything you get your hands on that wasn't, taken out of there decades ago, 50 years ago, 40, 50 years ago, by now it's all been, you got to go deep. You got to go deep to where you're not going to see tourists or anything like that. It's, I think, some of the work that, like the Indian Land Race Exchange guys and Land Race Mafia guys, and there's several of them that are out there collecting from farmers that are fucking, pretty isolated and have been farming their shit for, years and years and years and years, and probably generations of farmers. So, but I mean, and it's getting scarce, right? Um, you really got to be on the ground or have someone on the ground in those areas. It's like a local that knows what the fuck is up. Because you got uh, a lot of hybridization for various reasons, various people bringing shit in, or I mean, it all eventually gets kind of mixing in with the local, the local varietals. So in order to score anything that's still pure, you either got to go way back or you got to go into the fucking jungle to find somebody to go into the jungle. Unfortunately. So when we do get some, stuff like that, we gotta, make seed. Even if you just make a few hundred, pass them on to your friends. Keep that kind of stuff going. That's the motivation behind just a lot of the stuff that I purchased just to have, in my collection, in my seed collection was, because it hadn't been outcrossed yet. And it was like, all right, these are little preservation projects. And, Snow High has a lot of cool shit like that. And, I picked up some stuff from Coastal and, um, Bodie's always got fantastic work. And, he's got the seed trusts kind of section of his seed company there. It's got a lot of cool land races and heirlooms, and so even if you don't plan on, you have no intentions of ever putting anything on the market, make some seeds, pass them around, make sure that those things don't get lost. Because
What's the oldest thing you have?
the oldest. Oh,
Seed.
well,
Yeah, seed.
they're the preservation of, anyway. These are at F4. These are the 1968 lamb's bred collected by the Bushmen and then preserved, helped to be preserved by the Vibes Collective. So those go back quite a ways. That's the only thing that I really have any like kind of a solid date on. So yeah, they go back pretty far, and as far as
So they come out. How would be the process of popping them gems? What would be the process of popping them gems?
Yeah, if you had, like these were at F4, so they were, in the last 5 or 10 years, maybe, I would imagine. And so I had no problems getting those open. If you have some questionable seeds, some older seeds, maybe some that you weren't really sure how well they were stored. I mean, at the very least, make a little seed tonic, a little seed sprout tonic. Take some bag seed, sprout it till they have a little, their tails are popping out, and I take those and mash them up, and add a little distilled water, or maybe a pinch of aloe powder or aloe juice, and I'll use those to sprout, because just that freshly sprouted seed has all kinds of fucking growth hormones and good shit. It has to, right? Because they're getting ready to start life. And so you just take those right away, right after they sprouted. So people eat those sprouted grains all the time, right? They put them in smoothies and shit and whatever. I'm sure. So that's what I make my seed sprout tonic with. And for any that are on the old side, and if you got, if you just got a few and they're really valuable, your best bet is to find, someone with a lab coat or with that kind of skill and have them do an embryonic rescue. You can do it yourself, but you'd want to practice a lot first, to be able to fucking remove the shell, take the embryo out of the shell, and then place it into a sterile medium where it can grow unfettered. But again, yeah, find someone with that kind of equipment and talent, and someone that you trust if it's something that's that valuable. That tissue culture shit is amazing, but it's like there's not many people doing it, and it's a hard thing giving over your prized cut or your seed stock from Woodstock or whatever, right?
See, this is my thoughts on the tissue culture. I can appreciate tissue culture for preservation. So, like, say you as a breeder, you've got, we're all kind of limited out, bro. Shit happens. It would be nice for you as a breeder if you could have tissue culture your stuff. So in case something happens, you could bring it back, recreate some strains, throw that shit back out. It's not the genetic hunt like it would be to bring it back if everything were to be lost. Now, with that being said, I don't like the idea of taking that same mapping that you could take from them cultures and then designer strain from that. My thoughts on I would rather see just natural breeding in cannabis go on, but in tissue culture form just be as a library of things to be kept, not necessarily a toolbox of things for the future.
Yeah, I mean, the lab coat type breeders, they're going to be able to take, a little sample plants and be able to do all kinds of really cool shit. And okay, but as like you mentioned though, as far as keeping a library, tissue culture is where it's fucking at, man. I mean, Jesus, imagine being able to keep hundreds of plants in under a 3-foot lamp setup kind of situation, right? Like one little setup could be sufficient for it's just like test tubes, right? So I mean that's the future of keeping a library for sure. And just being able to refresh plants the way like I've seen a couple of testimonies now about old tired cuts that they're just really bitchy and they're tough to get them to root and whatever the issue may be. And after a couple rounds of tissue culture regeneration, I guess you could call it, they're like smack banging again. It's pretty cool what can be done. But yeah, on the other hand, there's again, it's you're trusting people with your best genetics. Nobody's going to bother with tissue culture, some tired ass cut. You're only going to fucking go to those kind of lengths for something really special, at least at this point anyway. So it's really hard to get anyone to give anything up. It's just hard to trust anyone. I mean, look around at the industry, right? It's just whew. There's some less than cool people doing less than cool shit. So you get everyone's kind of on their on their guard when it comes to stuff like this. But definitely, man, I mean, if it, if you could have, um, even just a intermediate type kit that, people that would catch on, man, I'll tell you what, I'd fucking love to have a fucking tissue culture library. Are you kidding me? Holy shit. Take up so much less space. You could just pull me in on it. It takes a while to get you to fucking veg or whatever, but you keep yourself fucking organized, and you keep your whole library in a fucking in a just a tiny little setup. Just amazing. Ah, totally cool. I think so.
Like we talked about a little bit earlier, the importance of the males. Them are true gems when you're a breeder, man. They're so hard to find for something that is worthy of working with. So if you tissue culture, that is that library as well. I think would be fucking pretty. I mean, just the whole setup would be fucking pretty cool.
Oh,
I think we're not far from that. I really don't too far from that dream.
no, not at all. Not at all. And I mean, because there's, this the stuff they're doing with the, kind of like gene editing and splicing and all that kind of crazy fucking sci-fi shit. I mean, they're way ahead of anything that I ever imagined, when I was first chucking seeds into a cornfield. Funny. But,
And location, I guess, man. It's like right now would be like the perfect time to team up with somebody in that kind of field or with that kind of knowledge in say Oklahoma with that unlimited plant count. Man, you could do some cool shit real fast if you had a nice collection of seeds. Pop it. Library, pop it. Library, pop it. There's a damn library. Oh man. Woo. I love popping seeds, and that would be fucking amazing. Oh,
right, man. Right on.
seeds are amazing, man. I just read a book on it. I suggest if you're a seed guy, it's called the Triumph of Seeds. It's available on Audible, and it was pretty good book, man. I learned a lot of shit about seeds. Yeah, I thought one point I heard you talking about people eat and drink in the seed sprouts or seeds. One point they brought out in the book where what the reason why some seeds aren't edible and are used as sometimes as medicines is it's just nature's way of going, hey, fucking don't eat this. It's for reproduction. It's important. These are seeds of life. Don't eat them.
Right.
I thought.
Yeah, man, it's funny how a lot of that shit works, isn't it? Everything has a purpose. So, but yeah,
So,
man.
if you could, what strain would you monocrop? Or
Fuck, man, that's so hard. I mean, actually, the one that I was monocropping for a little while. This, shout out to the professor over at Dynasty Genetics for that fucking honey badger haze, boy. Dub, I will get you those slips. They're coming next week. Yeah, I had a buddy. He's like, "Hey, you got to send me that thing back. It's awesome." He's like, "It's really unique. It's got like this melon, vanilla kind of. There's a little woody, sharp note in there, I guess. I don't know. It's awesome. I love the plant. I grew out a little freebie pack, and there was 3 females, and not one of them were disappointing to grow, right? Like not even, it's like, oh fuck man, I'd keep any one of these and grow it at least one more time, right? And this one in particular, I kept her on for a few years now, and uh yeah, it's just she's easy, she goes fat. The only, my only complaint is that, she does the fucking party girl flop at like 4 or 5 weeks, just fucking flop right over, bing. Um,
I
but
like that.
other than that, she's just about fucking perfect, man. And so yeah, that's she should be a good monocropper. And I like, and it's a good, pretty much fucking all day kind of smoke. Um, I can go to sleep on it. I've some friends that get a little fucking googly on it, but um, yeah, that's not a bad monocropper. So shout out to the professor at Dynasty. Fucking hell of a job. He's got some other shit there that Magoo. I never picked that up, but people rave about that one too. And he's got several there. That Pineapple Fields I see a lot of as well. So I'll have to do a little something more with her. I crossed her to well, the Tom Hill Hayes mail. When I did the F2s of the Tom Hill Hayes, I pulled a mail out. The real hazy looking fucking guy, real Colombian kind of looking fella, and hit him to my honey badger cut. And so there's a few out there, and I still have a few packs on hand actually. I think of the Tommy Badger, which a little faster, probably about 13, maybe 14 weeks. You might find a couple outliers that run a little faster, or run a little longer. But pretty cool combination. But that's a great plant. That's a great fucking plant. We'll definitely have to play around with her a little more.
So I heard you mention like finding a gem in a freebie. I have found a lot of great shit in some freebie as well. Do you think sometimes some of that shit just don't make it because uh, either one of two reasons? People get it as a freebie and kind of throw it in the collection and think of it as, it's a freebie, you know what I mean? Must not be that good. Or just a lack of, input. You know what I mean? People do pop them and find it's fire and just don't reach back out to the breeder and go, hey, this is worth, continuing. And it just falls to the side. Because there is, man, some of them freebies are fire.
There's a couple that I'm gonna have to remake. One will have to be a version 2 kind of situation because I don't have both the parents. But there's a couple of freebies that I got to redo because, people will pick up a few packs, and then the order will get there and they'll pop the freebies. Okay, well, all right then. And and I get it's great because I get almost instant feedback. Within weeks I'm already finding out how they're liking them. So yeah, for me, I have to try and keep in mind that at some point you might have to just go ahead and make a bunch and put them on the menu so that people can just outright buy them and buy a full pack or a breeder pack or whatever. But yeah, that's your clientele can often dictate what what you're going to do. If they want, if they love the freebies, if they love that shit too, it's like, well, why don't you sell this stuff? Well, I don't know, I didn't make a whole bunch. That's usually what the freebies end up as. It's like, well, I looked through a few and I like the plants, but we just don't have a lot, so we give them away. or it's something that, you know, well, maybe not ready to release. You know, I've given up, you know, I've put up some stuff that was like, well, we're still looking into it. I got people asking about it. So I'm like, well, we'll just put it in with the free, you know, that'll be your, you know, that'll be your freebie. But yeah, man, I gotta definitely be aware that at any time I should, you know, be able to reproduce that stuff. Because you know, some of them you just don't. I don't know. It's like, you know, yeah, I like the plan or I like the combination, but I, you know, personally just didn't think um that it would go that fast. You know what I'm saying? Like I gave away a shitload of well, maybe not a shit, yeah, several hundred of the what was it? Chocolate Diesel by Pineapple Thai. Gave away a bunch of those. And you know, people were hitting me back. They're like, this plant's fucking awesome. I'm like, oh, all right, well, I wish I would have paid more. Shit. And I didn't like I ended up losing the mom and yeah, I don't have either parent, I don't think. No, I don't. So um yeah, kind of a loss there. And I didn't keep any for myself to do any, you know, kind of line work. So shit. If you got them, enjoy the hell out of them. And if you do have, like, if you still got beans, you find a male, make some more, put them out there. Put them out there because I don't have any.
Take that. I also appreciate the fact that you know you are breeding with some good stuff that isn't really you know hype great strains that aren't you know hype. You know, I hate to see that being the choices of breeders currently letting the market kind of dictate what's going to happen in their garden or their breeding program because you know I think it's going to kind of make a great cannabis at some point. But with that being said, do you have any advice to potential seed buyers to you know kind of maybe look a little deeper and you know go past the hype? Because I'm afraid right now, you know, with this emerging market, you know, states going medical and rec, you know, there's every day there's more and more people taking that growing. And I'm afraid with that first adventure, as they look out there, that's what they're looking for is hype, because that's all they fucking know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, I don't have a great answer. I would, you know, just, you know, make yourself known in the community, not necessarily yourself, but make the community known to kind of the, you know, the average or the new customers. I don't know a great answer. I mean, I know what we need to happen, right? Um, I, I have more hope for the future of things, you know, as far as like, you know, the gene pool and, you know, will things still be around and where, you know, is it, you know, because there was for a while there, it was like, oh, fuck, we're just going to end up with like this muddied mess, right? And, you know, inbreeding can, well, you know, while inbreeding can bring out some, you know, some outstanding specimens, you know, when done as, you know, you see a lot of it today, just kind of fucking chucking any, you know, hype, right? Find a hype pack and throw it at a hype clone and fucking, you know, you got the new hype. Um, that kind of reckless shit. But I'm not, you know, I think there's enough people out there that understand and have an appreciation for how we got here. And you're going to see people kind of collecting and growing and um, passing on some of these kind of classics and heirlooms and keeping that stuff alive so that there's always something to kind of go back to, right? Um, they can fuck up everything with dessert times cookies times fucking some sort of chem of the whatever the chem flavor of the week and mix it all together and then breed it over and over again, and that's fine. You need it looks pretty. I guess it probably finishes fast. I guess it's got an all right stone, and the fucking average customers are, they love that shit. That's great. It's like not everybody's gonna buy, not everybody's gonna buy the heirloom tomato, right? Like some people are just like, no, I just want a fucking tomato. I don't care like how old the fucking thing is, or they don't care. So there's some really great customers out there. There's some really great people that are perpetuating and kind of keeping the gene pool spicy. Bringing in heirlooms and mixing them with other heirlooms and classics, and occasionally you'll see kind of a fun little mix with something a little more modern, not necessarily like a fucking Skittles or whatever, but maybe something a little more modern. And there's a lot of fucking cats out there that that are helping keep it alive. They're holding on to some of the old classics and passing them around to some fucking cool people, and making sure that that we don't lose how we got here, or at least parts of it anyway. So yeah, I mean, I have more hope than I did at one point a few years ago. I thought, oh fuck, but the more people I got to know, and what I see going on as far as the collections going on and some of the work that people are doing, it's like, oh fuck, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. There'll always be some really good, variety, whether it be from the Americas or something from Southeast Asia, or the shit that was growing on an island in BC for the last 50 years or whatever. We'll be fine.
I love that outlook. I think you're right too, because with more and more people starting to grow, I think we're gonna find more and more passionate people like yourself and some of the other quality breeders out there that will put forth the work and come across amazing things. I mean, we're just really getting started. I mean, shout out to the original pioneers that risked it all to get us here, by breeding and putting forth and sustaining, the whole loop of it all. But man, we're coming on the press of this, but all where we're all waking up, so we might just come across some amazing things, just like you said, both in keeping things, preserved, but moving on forward too, man. It's I'm looking forward to what cannabis has in store for us.
For sure, man.
So how we doing on time, Mr. Toucan? How we doing on time?
I didn't even realize what I don't know what time is it. That's 130. I'm still good. Good.
All right. Just checking it.
No.
Just checking it. So, what are some of some of your favorite events? Some of the places that cannabis has taken?
Oh, I don't, dude. I'm a hermit. I'm a fucking hermit. And it's yeah, no, I don't really get out. I kind of travel through. I've kind of collected plants from all over the place that have traveled from hand to hand, and some have come a very long way. And um, yeah, there's just a lot of there's a lot of cool history, in these old cuts, and just the work and dedication and vigilance that it takes to maintain something like that for not just years but decades. The risks involved and the sacrifices made. Um, it's been a real pleasure to be able to, to see some of these and be able to enjoy them and think that, you know, you got to realize, man, some of this shit, these plants are older than the fucking kids that are peddling them, right? You got the kid that's still fucking wet behind the ears on the fucking counter at the dispensary, selling chem dog. Fucking plants a dozen years older than he is, right? Oh, so it's been a real pleasure to be able to kind of to be able to spend time with some of these plants, and again, you just think, man, like how far this thing's traveled and how many different hands, and how many different gardens and how many different people have fucking gotten to enjoy the fruits of that labor and that love. It's yeah, it's pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool. I'm just really glad to be a part of it, and um, made the connections that I've made along the way, and the people that have helped me get here, and made all this possible. So
Any possible events or anything you're looking forward to? I mean, summer's just kicking off. Is there anything you're gonna check out this year?
no, I'm they got that gene traders thing around, that comes up, not, well, maybe not close by, but within a state or two. That'd be a kind of a cool event to attend at some point. I'd like to check that out. And this fucking Rona thing has kind of fucked everything, all the gatherings up the last year and a half. So, but I'm trying to think what the hell they call it. Yeah, right. It's like, it's like, the Emerald Cup of the Northeast, whatever, the Harvest Cup. I was actually gonna try and make my way over there. It would have been, last fall or, last winter, but none of that shit ever happened. So that was a real shit show shame. That'd be a good time though.
So do you think at some point that certified cuts will come into play as well?
What now?
Such a thing as like say certified cuts to where like a breeder selected, certified skip the if you wanted to skip the seed process, this is
Oh yeah,
the breeder cut,
yeah.
certified, papered, like like a dog.
Right, right. I see what you're saying. Um, I don't know. I mean, I guess they kind of already do, like, with oh, what's his nuts there? I can't remember who the guy is there, that the Bruce Banner guy. Um, like
Oh,
he
Dark
released,
Horse. He
yeah,
was
Dark
just
Horse.
on Jason.
Right, right. So like he released his own. He released the Banner cuts through like a certain dispensary, or set of however it went down, but so like everybody knew where to get the legit breeder supplied Bruce Banner, and I guess he had a couple different ones or something like that, right? um but so yeah, I guess you kind of already have something like that, but at some point, yeah, I don't know, maybe it's gonna get like even fucking crazy. You'll have like the
So with
the
that
drug
being said,
companies
would
come
you
in
do
and
that? Would you cloud it with like multiple cuts, or would you only release the one to keep the confusion kind of, or unless you had two outstanding, maybe I don't know. Would you release a couple of different ones like he did, and just like
I don't know.
even made it and it graded up a little bit to confuse everybody what was
if
what?
if I had kept, well, like if I keep two different out of the same line, it's because they're both different, I mean, I tend to pick the weirdos as it is. But so if I kept two out of a line, they'd be like, one would lean towards mama and the other would lean towards the old man, kind of thing. So it would definitely be like, yeah, here, they're the same lineage, but it kind of depends on which parent you'd prefer, type of situation. That if it were me, I don't know. I've I've never had I never had the Banner. I don't think, no, and so I can't really speak on like um his different selections or whatever. I did. I I heard him talking about it the other day, and so I have to go back and re-listen to it again, because I'm sure he went over it, and I was just kind of, I listened to him the podcast and shit like that on my headphones while I'm popping away in the garden and doing this and that. So sometimes I'm focused and sometimes I'm not. But yeah, yeah, yeah. So if there were two different cuts, they'd have to be like, they'd have to be pretty different. Like I said, one would be like more like mama with a little bit of dad, and then vice versa.
So is seeds the only place in the cannabis industry you plan on staying? Is there any other places you may branch out in the future?
Yeah, no, this is probably it. I don't, but I mean, I don't really, yeah, I don't plan on it, but you never know. But no, I think this is kind of where I'm at, and um, what I built, the collection that we have, as far as the genetic availability, and um, yeah, it's just, at least for now anyway. This is what makes sense and what I'm really kind of digging on, and there's some things that are going to take a while, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So for now, yeah. Yeah, they don't make plans. I've made lots of plans, and now I'm here, which wasn't a plan at all. So we'll just go with it, man.
So, where can people find your amazing work? I know they've dropped the link a couple times in chat, but to throw it out there.
Yeah. So you can very shortly here, we're going to do a drop with the Future Cannabis Project guys. That's Dagga.love, DAGGA.love. And there's several, they carry several breeders on there. And then you got Labyrinth Seeds and Seeds Here Now. Those three are all going to get a small package here shortly of some stuff that I already, you know, that we've had on hand. All right, we're gonna do. They're all gonna get the Ruby Vine Afghani, Neville's Haze 21 by Mullumbimby Madness, Yukia Berry, Vietnamese Black, Lemon Thai, Purple Pakistani Chitral, and then James at Seeds Here Now and Dagga will both be getting the NL5 drop as well. So we're going to get those out shortly here. And test away. We got seeds wet for the, it'll be late fall, early winter, I guess. Oh, late fall, fall. We got I got testers outside already with a few people, and then we got some indoor ones going very shortly here. So you know, with luck, we'll get some nice ones to put out there along with the other stuff that I have going on. So we're gonna look for that again. You know, end of September, early October. We should be able to get most of the testers in. We might have to wait to drop a couple of varieties, some of the longer finishing ones. We'll see how they go outside. I'm not sure yet. That's part of the process, though. So we'll find out. Currently working on some stuff with the Lemon Thai guy. And if you want to follow that progress, you can find me on IG at @J2Cans. And the alternative page is at Blackbird Preservations for the seed company. And if you want to talk woodworking, leatherwork, any of that kind of shit, you can hit me up on the @J2Cans, or actually the Blackbird site, or the Blackbird page as well, is that one's public. So if you need to get a hold of me, if I haven't like accepted your request or whatever on my private page, hit me up through there. You know, if you need gear or if you have any questions or anything like that.
Do you see yourself like pushing forward with that a little bit as like maybe new products in the woodworking cannabis side? You guys, I looked a little bit through them trays. Please tell me you like make the old the wood grinder with the like some of the grinders they make nowadays are too aggressive. But back in the day you could get a wood grinder with like just like steel pins in it that were so sweet. They would complement that tray. I wonder, do you carry those as well?
Oh yeah. Now I know what you're talking about. Now I know what you're talking about. No, I don't, but I have seen them. I gotta find ones that I like. The only the only wooden ones that I've seen I have like a really kind of chintzy interior. They're not the so what I could possibly do is actually depending on the size of the grinder, I could make a wooden sleeve to drop that right into. That's an idea.
Ooh, I got one for you too.
I can
Uh-huh.
cut out on the CNC
One
mill.
working, one wooden worker to another. I've got an idea for it. I just thought of it. Just on there. I like aromatic. You may even have said it like an aromatic, like curing box. Say maybe like fruit woods, maybe a cedar curing box. Something that's like a very aromatic wood to cure some bud in. What do you think about that? You think you could
I've,
incorporate something like apple scent or something like that into a cure? Would be then be able to like scuff it up in between, dries.
yeah, I
Keep
wonder.
that.
I, I'd have to. I want to try one out. I don't. I mean, I'd love to. I've already made humidors, for cigars. Um, so I'd really like to check. Maybe I should just fucking buck up
Ooh,
and make one and just see how they work. Because like, I mean, yeah, it's cool and everything, but if it doesn't function properly, like if it takes me, if it makes all your weed taste like shit,
right,
there's,
right. But
it's like
as far as like that process, instead of, I don't know how you would do it though. Maybe a neutral like carcass, but be able to like maybe slide like because keeping that scent in there would be somewhat of a bitch. Cedar definitely you could scuff her up and bring it back easy enough. But what about like say maybe panels, like maybe 16-inch panels you drop the line the sides with for the dry to help slow it down. Kind of, I don't know, fuse. Just thinking aloud. I don't know. I'm a woodworker too. I love thinking of shit like that.
yeah, well, it's like the uh for the cigar humidor, it's a 3/4 inch carcass and then lined with 1/4 inch Spanish cedar lid, bottom, whole fucking 9 yards. Seals up nice and tight, and the cedar is supposedly, you know, that's there to kind of stop the ambient humidity from affecting what's inside. Works as a barrier. So if you're in an area that's super damp out, that cedar is supposed to help keep out some of the dampness. They still have a spot for the humidipacs or whatever, but that cedar is there not just not just because it smells nice. I don't know. Again, it can't. It can't affect it. I mean, you'd think it can't affect it in a negative way because you got motherfuckers spending thousands of dollars on cigars and throwing them in a cedar lined humidor. If it made them taste like shit, they wouldn't use them. So, this you figure they got to work. So, I mean, I definitely want to test it out before. I had talked to a cat about hooking them up with a humidor, and then I'm like, wow, man, better make sure this fucking thing doesn't ruin the fucking meat before I sell them all these goddamn things. So I've kind of sat on it. I still have enough cedar to do one more humidor. So I'll get it together and give it a try. We'll roll up some cones and see how you do.
Vented panels that slid back and forth like fingers, so you could control that airflow.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I tell you, I do miss woodworking. To be honest with you, my woodworking kind of took back seat to growing campus. To be honest with you, and I've spoken on the air quite a bit to when I get that building that I want so badly. Hopefully, it will come very soon. That nice size pole barn. I want to fucking at least a 60. I'll take a 40 by 80, or preferably a 60 by 80. But incorporate most of it, grow a little gym space, and then have my wood shop again. All my favorite things all in one giant building. I probably wouldn't leave, but man, I'd love to fire up the woodworking shop again, man. It did. The growth started above the fucking wood shop, and then came downstairs and just engulfed the fucking wood shop.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I hear that. It happens.
I actually started taking on wood, not necessarily woodworking lately. I've been laying some tile, and I got to admit, man, I kind of miss it. That end of the job feeling when you knocked out, you turned something shit into something awesome. You know what I mean? The gratification of all that. I kind of miss it a little bit. I hate to admit it, but
it's nice. It's nice wrapping up a package, when you finally get it fucking done. That's for sure. It's been a struggle lately with a bunch of shit going on, and trying to get reorganized, and kind of adding on a whole nother set of chores, and we're doing raising some ducks this summer. Ducks and a few geese. So that's been a little bit of a time consumer, but it's necessary, and something we gotta learn a new skill. So in the middle of fucking trying to do all this other shit, I gotta taking on another project, but that's all right. We'll get it. I've gotten it down. I think I'm prepared as I can be. Harvest day is going to be tough, but it's good. You got to learn. I know how to grow shit, right? But being able to raise and harvest your own animals, that's another level of sustainability. So I'm gonna get in while I can. I got the opportunity, got the space, I got the equipment, the infrastructure that makes everything pretty easy. So it's gonna be
So do you think it'll even come so full circle as like composting, the animal waste, the bird waste, and all that?
Yeah.
And you're using back into either a garden or your canvas garden?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know how it'll end up shaking out. But I'm gonna start. I got a couple of books on the way. I'm gonna start looking through some permaculture books and start to get an idea as to how to design and set up, what I want. Kind of a mix of everything, and kind of that multi-tiered. I can't remember who I was watching the other day, but he has, this orchard, all kinds of different shit, you know, uh, from pit fruit to apples to um, and then like the smaller bushes, berry bushes and shit like that. And then there's like another layer. So you got all this. You got you got your large trees, and then you got your medium sized stuff, and then you got your ground, almost ground cover type stuff, and how to kind of plant them in threes and plant them in these trios in certain ratios. You got the one tree, you got a couple of bushes, and you got 4 or 5 of these down below. And yeah, it's just interesting to see how that kind of stuff works together. And it's basically high density. It's high density planting, and so that you can kind of get a good variety of stuff on a modest area of land. You don't need 100 acres to sustain yourself. You only need well, shit, man. That's what is it like? There's a book. It's like a quarter acre to freedom or something like that, and it's basically this really like high density vertical integrated, kind of vertical farming. Really really cool. How you can grow everything, just about everything you need, and then have extra to sell on a quarter acre plot. And if you want to add animals, get yourself a couple acres, and you can at least bring in small stuff. That's the ultimate plan. Be able to kind of have your own little spot where you just whatever you want to call it, regenerative or whatever, your own little spot where you just bring in as few inputs as possible. You said the animals are a big key there, right? It's kind of part of the whole cycle.
You see me laugh there when you said you were ordering a couple books. I'm trying to venture down that organics road a little bit, but man, I'm going to be honest with you. Even listening to you speak right now, fucking some of them organic books, I've read books on and about psychedelics that were easily understood than some of the rabbit holes of the organics I've been down.
Yeah, yeah. It can be really, it can be pretty overwhelming, depending on how fucking fast and deep you get into it. So I've been kind of, there's a few people that I watch, I watch what they do on the gram, some of their processes, and if I ever need help, I have plenty of people that I can reach out to and get some more specifics. But yeah, like I dig the like the hugelkultur beds. I think that'd be something like, if I moved onto a property, that would be something that I'd want to incorporate, I think, right away. First thing you do is plant your fruit trees and shit. And then I'd probably get into these hugel beds and I'd probably try a few different methods though, right? Like I like to do some raised beds just full of fucking, full of good old fashioned rotted cow shit and, farm manure basically. Um, mixed animal compost. It's, nicely aged, broken down, basically soil at that point, right? Um, and I just kind of go from there. It'll be a process. It'll be a struggle at times. I'll probably invent a few new swear words. Uh, but yeah, I mean, it's one thing that this is, kind of helped me, the cannabis, getting back into, um, cultivating and everything, is that, it's also helped me kind of get my head back into like, I moved back out to the country. I used to live in the city, two different coasts, and moving back out to the country and getting away from like, what they refer to as civilization, just makes me realize that, we're like completely fucking disconnected from this planet, the earth, nature, everything that fuels us and provides for us. We're like fucking disconnected from more and more every day. And, being back here has been a big wake up and a kind of a reminder and maybe a kick in the ass to, not be so reliant on, outside, whether it's, just going to the store for eggs, we're actually pretty good out here. Like I can go down the road, I can go a hell of a lot closer than the nearest store and get eggs and get fresh milk, non-pasteurized, fucking real milk. Um, so that's the nice thing about living out here, And so if things do get messy, if food prices were to fucking go through the roof, and like we wouldn't be too bad out here. We can hunt, we can, a lot of us have shit stored, like, months worth of this, that, or the other thing, or at least something that they can do or trade to acquire what they need. Barter is, pretty big out here. So, yeah, it's been great to see, to have, to kind of have it come around the way it has. And start out with, my reunion with cannabis, and now to just kind of feel a lot more confident moving forward, even with, as shit falls apart around you, still smile a little bit and be like, yeah, but I can grow like green beans and shit, and I can fucking, I know how to slaughter poultry, and I mean, imagine living in a city and having no fucking skills, and then imagine the food supply being like, scarce, or even just a little short for a while. Like, how fucking fast that shit turns. A city with millions of people and they don't have food for a couple of days, it's gonna get ugly real fast. Or even if it's just real expensive and people start going hungry, that's when shit gets ugly. So I don't want to have to, be caught in any kind of situation like that. And if we can grow food, it's like, yeah, it just kind of goes along with what what I'm already doing anyway. So add some tomatoes, add some beans, grow some raise some livestock, grow some fucking fruit, do something, add some sort of skill, right?
I agree, man. It's sad to see, you're calling it, man. Especially a lot of the newer generation have no idea how to hunt, fish, the basic skills. It's been lost from generation to generation, and it's sad. It's sad.
Well, like change a tire. Something simple like how many kids, right? How many 20-year-old kids know how to change a tire? I think we've, hey, technology's awesome, dude. Like we can sit here and have this conversation in fucking completely different parts of the country. And, anyone with an internet connection can basically tune in and watch themselves too. Pretty awesome. But, there's drawbacks to all this shit. And there's the bill comes due, right?
So, let me see. Fred Don Carlos in chat wanted to know. I gotta get back here. Sorry, Fred. He wanted to know about the oil spill times Romulan that came with the Northern Light number 5.
Yes. The oil spill is the number 13 has, the typical oil rag, like greasy shop oil rag, and maybe a little bit of like, kind of like hot black rubber or hot tar kind of thing, but also this really nice, smooth marshmallow kick to it on the end. And the Romulan was it's a BX5 F4, if I recall correctly. And there was mostly piney, but there was some of the fruitier, like that little grapey guy in there. One of the females that I ran, and the male was just a sturdy, really nice bush structure type guy. And the progeny that I saw basically looked like looked more like the father, but smelled like the mom. And so had a really nice, like a sweet pine tar, like a greasy sweet pine tar nose to him. With some oddball fruity ones that had popped up, but mostly greasy pine tar. I'm trying to think like a sap, almost like a Swedish sap to it.
I'm trying to acquire like almost everything pine. Everything pine I can put my hands on. It's the quest. That's the turf I'm trying to hunt down. Find that one that reminds me of that childhood high. We kind of spoke of it with Lawrence and Tiva there. That never ending ceiling. You smoke with a few good friends and almost have that laugh attack. You know what I'm talking about? Stupidest thing sets off the group, ripping everybody's off and laughing until their face hurts. I miss that. And I remember that with the Pines. And I'm hoping to find something along these lines someday.
Yeah, that's the one shit I wish I would have kept seeds out of. I know we fucking found seeds in that shit. There was this cat that I hung out with when we were teenagers. And his older brother, this fucking dude always had the same shit. And it was like, we just called it the fucking happy weed because like it was always gave you the fucking giggles, always gave you the permagrin, your fucking face, and you go home and your fucking face would hurt because you're just grinning from ear to ear for hours getting pied on that shit. I wish I would have kept seeds out of that shit, out of everything. You know, even the old girls' fucking clones. You know, you'd get an occasional seed once in a great while. You'd find ones, sneaking around in there. But no, I wish I would have kept that fucking giggleweed shit.
Oh man, that was I actually got some of that fucking like senior year of high school, fucking from a cat. I can say his a code name back then, Wavis, way back then from Wavis. And that shit was fucking, man, you could smoke that shit. We were fucking seasoned smokers then. You know what I mean? So we knew we were just smoking, just fucking random fucking weed that made us high. We appreciated what we were getting. And almost to the point where we pushed it. You know what I mean? We fucking always bought everything that was always available. It just burned through it like it was always gonna be there. But man, that shit, man, you could smoke one of those joints, fucking 6 people, just like you say, man. In what we called the Thunder Van. Fucking broken down shit you got, man. It was in like a townhouse like complex, and we used to sit and smoke in that fucker in front of this kid's townhouse. And his mom fucking move that motherfucker. I want to have it towed. So we pushed it into the center of the complex, and we would fucking sit there and just fucking get fucked up all day. But man, you would open that door, man. Fucking smoke would just roll out of that thing. And we would clam bake in that truck with that pine weed and just fucking, oh man, just like you say, stomach, face. It was close to like acid session, but on cannabis. And man, I'm telling you right now, if I guess I'm often asked that, island, what strain? Well, if you were trapped on an island, what would you have? And I never say, but I don't know. That would be if I got to be stuck anywhere, and grow something and sustain myself. I might as well laugh myself stupid.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what the hell I would take. I don't know. That's a terrible question. That's a mean question. Fuck, I don't know. I don't know.
It is.
I don't know, man. I don't want to answer that. I plead the fifth. One of the girls. Who's my favorite? No matter what I say, I'm gonna have a lot of angry girls. It depends, though. Like it does. It depends, and what kind of mood you're in, and what kind, just like what are you craving at the time, and like maybe what time of day it is. Like, there's some heavy duty stuff that like I quite enjoy, but not at 2:00 in the afternoon when I got shit to do. If I manage to get out and get out of the house and uh, go play a little golf or something. I don't want anything too fucking, you know, too lethargic or too stupid. I don't mind getting fucking pied, but certain,
Come on, you're on a desert island now. Unless your
Oh,
day includes designing that golf course.
fuck, man.
You know what I mean? You might as well laugh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Laugh, come out and maybe
I
like
definitely
design
like.
you a club and walk around the
Yeah.
woods and fucking laugh your ass off and just watch it.
Like if you had a fucking giggly, if you had like, well, man, that's like all it's missing, really. Something that's just really uplifting and happy and have that, like, I don't know, I love me some of that fucking Indiana bubblegum. Um, Bringing that kind of flavor or something like that. Oh yeah, that'd be all right, I guess. That'd be my desert island or something like that. Yeah. I like the buzz on the bubble gum. I like the buzz. It's not quite fucking, permagreen giggly though. You have to figure out a way to fix that.
Yeah,
I
stick with the laughy.
don't know. Like, I don't know. Got to find that, I, what do you have any of have you ever had like just straight jelly bean? I've heard that's supposed to be like pretty fucking,
Yeah, I've ran jelly bean a few times. Second run. It's a good, but not.
yeah,
I wouldn't compare it to like. That's a tough comparison there. You know what I mean? I haven't seen
yeah,
nothing in years that compares to what we're talking about with that old pine kind
man.
of. I wish.
Yeah, that's,
It's one of them things. I don't know. I wish, but be careful what you wish for. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Do I want to get in the garden and then fucking do nothing but laugh my ass off?
Oh man, I'll have to put in an inquiry or two. Yeah, for sure. I'll definitely put that on the list.
Oh, funny. So what are I think you kind of. I don't know if I've even asked this yet. I don't think so. What is your favorite kind of personal favorite profile?
Yeah, I lean more towards the various fruity shit. Um, like fruity candy, but you know, again, I do get a little burnout on. I get burnt out on the same old shit. I like variety, but I lean towards the fruitier, sweeter stuff. Um, I like to throw in. I like to smoke a little gas. Kind of balance it out. But yeah, that juicy fruit tie like just fucking nails it. The Hill Tribe Mung tie, it's right there. It's got the it's not all fruit. There's a little fucking maybe like I said, like a little woody almost spice to it. Um and the ride is just it's real happy. It's not quite, it's not, you know, it's not the fucking permagrin type shit, not quite the giggleweed, but it is a very fucking like happy ride to it. So man, yeah, I think that might do it for the desert island, actually. I dig it. I like the variety, but yeah, that I like something that fucking makes you fucking warm inside, makes you smile a little bit, and fucking just kind of like, you know, your mind can fucking kind of not necessarily race, but you know, it's you know, thought provoking. It doesn't make you fucking dopey, and you know, I don't mind that every once in a while. I like a good heavy stone before I go to sleep. Um, but yeah, I'm more into the more uplifting and because I like to smoke all day. I like, you know, and I got shit to do, so it definitely helps to have something that'll put a little pep in your step too, without having you peeking out the windows every time the dog barks.
So looking, if somewhere we're looking down your strain library, what would you say would be your strongest, you know, indica, your strongest, you know, cow slot, your strongest like sativa? And do you have like your what would you be like your kind of jump for the midway?
Strongest sativa. Currently here, probably, you know, it's somewhere with like the cockfighter or the Vietnamese. There's a couple that I'd waiting on that would probably top those, but I'm not jinxing anything at this point. But yeah, so the sativa side's a little weak right now, but I'm hoping that changes real soon. On the indica side, the widows are definitely strong. If you can get Sharon right, she's a fucking kicker. Um, the other one, the uh the 95 is a fucking bell ringer. Um, and that's, you know, that's that the widows that oh shit, it's that weird mix that I can never remember because it's like, you know, it's got like the Korean or something like that in it. But that's, you know, that, you know, it's famous, you know, the one you saw in High Times, and it was winning the Cannabis Cup, and everybody knew fucking White Widow back in the day. Everybody knew, even if you never smoked, you knew what White Widow was, right? You heard about it, you saw it, you read about it. Um, so that's, you know, I mean, I don't know if you want to. Guess we could classify it as an indica. I don't know. Let's say fast flowering. How's that? So for fast flowering varieties, that's probably fucking um, right around the tippy top. Um, yeah, that's takes the fucking taco, I would say. Trying to think. I know I'm probably fucking leaving somebody out, but yeah. There's some cool OGs and stuff in the Pure Kush that um you know, they're nice and heavy and stony. Um and like the Albany sour is fucking, that's, you know, it's real strong. It's real strong. I don't know how you want to classify that though. What it takes about 11 weeks or so. So it's a faster flowering variety. I got some seed stock from a buddy of mine that sent it on over. This Lazy Pharaoh sent me some more Taga that I'd like to dig into. So I'm sure there's something nice in there. Um, that Another guy got some Kandahar off me. He's got some pretty strong ones coming out of that Kandahar black. Well, that was another good line. Those sold out quick, though. I got some of the other Kandahars out of different selections. Still available. I'd have to redo the black, though. I'm probably down to my last 50 or so. That was a good one. There's some new ones, though, that we're going to try out real soon here. Just getting everybody situated. Everybody's got new shoes, and we should be ready to flip in a couple weeks here. So we got some new ones to check out, but yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. We're gonna find out who gets to dance with the lemon tie guy. We got a few marked down here. He dumps pretty good though, so we'll have plenty. We can fucking make plenty of testers. Not a problem. So we'll see what happens.
Is the lemon terps one of your favorites there? I went through a lemon spell as well.
Yeah, and I thought that they were a nice balance. There's some a couple of lemon cuts that I've gone through. One was just way too strong. I like the lemon G and lemon G, and then this lemon Larry. They were both nice. Not too overpowering in the lemon, like this, not obnoxious or anything. And like the lemon tie was like that as well. We found anything, there was two main kind of expressions there. There was a more colorful one. She flowered out real pretty, lots of purples and reds, and she was, I gotta think now. She was the there was a lemon, like a lemon pastry. I have to check my notes, but I want to say the colored one was the lemon pastry, and then the green girls were more of a zesty, like a lemon zest. So this is like a really sharp one, and then a more, I want like a not necessarily doughy, but a little softer. And again, I just love the ride. It's just a great daytime ride. If you cut them a little early, they're a little fucking racy, a little wiry, but great resin production. Holy fuck! Can't wait to see how this one that I passed on to a friend of mine. I gotta get back. I'd love to see how it presses or washes, or it should yield pretty well. So we'll have to see though, and looking forward to comparing that one against Bodie's cut, which is very narrow leafed. So she might run a little longer. We'll find out. I'm expecting it to be on the longer end, so it'll be kind of cool. Well, like I dig having comparing different cuts from the same line, or similar same lineage type things. Your selection versus my selection versus because you never know. So I like popping seeds. I like looking through stuff because a lot of the times it's something that's maybe not quite exactly typical of what you expect to find, but there's a little bit of an outlier there. that are sometimes fun. Sometimes they're crap, like you keep the little freaks and you're like, oh, it's a freak, look at it. Oh, and it, you give it all the love in the world and still it's just a freak. And um, but yeah, you never know what you're gonna find. And I do like, like I said, I do like the outliers, that uh, the oddballs. So yeah.
I root for see Popper. I root for the Misfits as well. I've had some gems from some of the Misfits. Some of the ones that actually didn't necessarily come into flower stage until some of their brothers and sisters were harvested almost. But they snap out of it almost the second round. Sometimes it takes three. I don't know what it is, but man, I have found some incredible shit on those fits. Not always, though, as you point out. Not always.
Yeah. Well, I always try and give them fucking two to three runs, and before I, think about ditching out. Um, and sometimes, like, man, I had this one. Actually, I was testing them out for somebody else, and they were great. They were great from seed. Oh, they're just beautiful, beautiful plants. And I had cloned a couple of them, and ran them again. And I'm like scratching my head. I'm like wondering, well, what the fuck did I do wrong? Man? It yielded like shit. It didn't look anything like it. So I ran them again, and they looked like shit. They yielded like shit. I don't know what, I don't know if it's common. I don't know if it was something that I did or it's something that happens, but it's rare. But they were just absolute garbage from clone. Absolute garbage. I've had them different. I've had plants come out different from clone, like a little bit different. But that's, the environment might have been a little different. You might have done something a little different. It's like, okay, that little changes can cause little changes. Little changes in the environment will, alter the phenotypical expression a little here and there.
Yeah.
But
She could be a little sick when you
these were just,
right.
These were totally different. Like I was sure that that I did something wrong, like the first go, and then I ran him again, and I was like, really? Everybody else was happy. Everybody else was fine. It's not like a record-setting run or anything, but not just they had me. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never really heard of that, to be honest with you, as far as, things going south on that first clone like that.
Yeah, they turned out completely different from clone, like completely different. And I don't think I did anything drastically different to alter. Just didn't make any sense. I mean, I would have thought that at least somebody else would have been coming out goofy as well, but everybody else was normal, and these were like, they looked nothing like, if I had showed you pictures of them from seed and then we look at these, like, no, they're not. No, that's not the same. Oh yeah. Like I've had problems picking out, like being able to identify my own cut in somebody else's garden. It's so clear across the country, in obviously completely different space, and they're different enough to where I'm like, they send me a pic. I'm like, oh, cool. Who's that? And he's like, dude, that's your fucking chocolate tie cut, jackass. Like, well, it doesn't look the same. I recently got one of mine back, and she's an asshole to begin with, and like she's still bitchy, telling me she's pissed. Um, it's just funny though, because that's, you know, and she doesn't look the same. She doesn't look like she looked when she left. She looks like she looked when, you know, she was at my buddy's house. So it's kind of funny. I know, like, you know, there's people trying, you know, you try and identify plants just from sight, and it's like, okay, yeah, maybe there's like some telltale signs, you know, that they always, you know, this is what they do, or this is how they grow, or whatever. But like, I don't know, man. They different gardens, they don't always look the same. They don't. It's not a drastic difference, but there's enough of a difference where you'd be like, oh, I don't know if that's the plant. I didn't. The plant that I held for 3 years. I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell it from fucking animal. I don't know. Looks different in your garden.
It definitely happens. I've had cuts. Jack Greenstock has mailed me some cuts, or allegedly. Uh, and you know, the number two he sent me, it was supposed to have that pine terps, and when they got here, man, it was, I ran it a few times, and all I could get out of it were like a dragon fruit. It was completely different in my environment in cocoa, and you know, sometimes they do change a little bit from
Yeah.
environment, especially from calm. I mean, for sure. I greatly appreciate your 2 to 3 run kind of on a judgment of a strain. In my opinion, it takes at least that, because I used to get pushed all the time to fucking strain, standard strain reports, 10 years for your report. And I wouldn't like to give them until at least my second run with the strain, in all fairness to everybody, because I couldn't figure out exactly what I liked in that first run. And I don't think it actually expresses itself until like the second run, everything. And then, like you said, and then with that second run, with the new kind of stuff coming out in it, you almost need that third one to go, huh? All right, this is my fair assessment.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, you know, you got to see how they're going to run from clone, because if you're going to keep it around, you're going to have to clone it. And then, you know, if, you know, you didn't have it dialed in, or at least fucking close to it, then, you know, you're really not going to know what you have. So you got to, you know, you got your seed run, then you got to get your run it from clone. And you got to run it from clone and give it a good one, so that you know, give it a fair shake. Um, so yeah, like, you know, you're pouring through some seeds. You know, I mean, there's some like, okay, you want to, I guess, you know, if they got fucking problems, you ditch them out, right? I mean, if they got intersex issues, or if they're just you know, I mean, I guess if they're just kind of bitchy, clone it and grow it from clone and see if it continues. If it's still an asshole, then maybe you want to cut bait. Um, you know, flower it out once, you know, once or twice, and then cut bait. Um, I know it's it's not easy, and that's just on a small scale too. Like, you know, some of these cats, like these guys are, now they got access to, you know, this giant fucking warehouse, or you know, giant fucking greenhouse grows and shit, and warehouse grows. Um, you know, they're out there doing thousands of seeds, which is awesome. Awesome to see. You know, tens of thousands of square feet of just fucking the same cultivar. that's a fucking that's a hunt. And you know, being able to pare that down and you still got to rerun, dozens, if not hundreds of plants. That's phew, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but it's worth it.
So I can't
If
help
you
but
want to
wonder
find
for
those standout special plants, you want to find those, the real fucking, the oddballs or the unique ones. Power in numbers.
I can't help but wonder is you as a breeder, if you could make your assessment, do you think you'd get the full, what would you rather base your judgment on? Are your creation outdoor, and do you think it would offer the fullest expression outdoor, or do you think you could make a fair decision indoors, on a side by side? Do you think you'd push forward with indoor? Do you think it would be similar?
Well, I pick up stuff uh from certain people because it's been bred outdoors, and and in some instances some pretty shitty climates. Um and and there's plenty of varieties that you'll see, the breeder will flat out, tell you, hey, listen, these are not for indoor. This is an outdoor type of deal. Um, you know, I think they both, you're gonna have your varieties that are gonna be the indoor champs or the the like the light dep or the big greenhouse champs or whatever. And then you're going to have the ones that thrive outdoors. So you're going to have you know two separate um two separate groups. Both have their they both have their pros and cons, I would say. Because the outdoor maybe they don't respond as well, maybe they don't grow as well indoors. Whereas the indoors, you put them outdoors and they're not ready for the elements. They're not ready for, the weather, the pest pressure, that kind of thing. I think so. It depends on your goal, and it depends on what um, you know, where you're growing and what you're going to do with them. Are you a production facility that's growing, kind of a hybrid indoor, type of greenhouse situation, or are you a um, more of a kind of a craft grower that has a few plants in their backyard, and you need shit that's gonna perform well. It's gonna stand up to the pest pressure. It's gonna stand up to the shitty weather and wet fall, and yeah, it all has a place.
I can't wait to venture outdoors on a larger scale someday.
Yeah.
But for now, stuck indoors.
Well, there's a couple that I have that's like, you see them inside and they're big. They want to be big. You can tell like they just want to be big, big. Like that two in particular, that Black Lime Reserve and the Beyond the Brain from Mandala that this cat sent me. You can just tell she wants to be just fucking huge. like 8-inch fan leaves in a fucking, gallon of fucking cocoa or a gallon and a half of cocoa. It's a tiny little pot. So, it is ones like girls like them, you really just want to see them outside in all their fucking glory under, full sun, just raging. I can just imagine how huge they get. Big old fucking families, big fucking donkey dick holes. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's cool, being able to, um, continue to fucking run shit when there's snow on the ground. But there's something about them out in their natural habitat. Can't beat it.
Is outdoor breeding ever going to be a possibility for you?
Possibly. Yeah, at some point. And we're at the point where people are in this area are going to start needing genetics that are, acclimated to the area, right? Like if you're gonna add strawberries to your garden, buy the the little starts or whatever. Your best bet is to find someone somewhere local or whatever. Find berries that are grown nearby or as close to you. You're not gonna fucking bring in. You're not gonna bring in fucking strawberries from halfway across the country or from way down south or from way up north or whatever the case may be. Find something that's acclimated to your local area. So yeah, that's definitely, I mean, the Northeast in general is all, just about all flipped, right? I don't know who's left. I don't know. I'd have to look at the map again, but so yeah, there's there's definitely going to be, and already is, and it's growing. People getting the opportunity to home grow, and they're going to need seeds to start with. So yeah, for sure.
I'd rather see people start from seed myself. If you're gonna start doing something, you might as well, like if we talked about earlier, learn the basics, learn how to psycho plant, learn how to fucking germinate, get it all down, and then you're set. Taught yourself to fish.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I was actually fortunate enough to catch up uh, with this grower who's actually from maybe not the immediate area, but he's around. And so it was cool. It was, I'm someone to kind of get some local, add to the local gene stock. A couple of things collected, but being able to add to that, and another variety or two to go through and maybe incorporate into uh, something that's targeted for this area in general. That's a great start, man. Great start.
So yeah, I agree with that too, 100%. Kind of regionalized cannabis a little. But do you think it should stay legal or regionalized? if it could, the markets get that demand.
Well, I like the idea of the kind of like the appellations or whatever. I don't know what they would call it if they're going to, um, like what they do in Europe. In order to sell a Parma ham, it's got to come from Parma, Italy. They can't import it from somewhere else. Not even somewhere else in the country. It's got to come from Parma. Bordeaux wine has to be made in Bordeaux, France. Can't be made in Champagne, whatever. So I do like that kind of. I don't know if they're still pushing for it or heard the talk about it, but I think that's cool because it gives credit to the area that should be credited. If it's a Mendocino County or if it's Ukiah, this or that, they should be, that they should have that designation so that when that stuff goes to market, people know, or, they can know where exactly it came from and that there is a governing body of sorts that tracks and kind of just oversees and makes sure everyone's on the up and up. So I do like, I would like to see something like that. Yeah, I like Kentucky bluegrass to be certified Kentucky fucking bluegrass. If it was grown in the Emerald Triangle, it'd be a lot like the label on a bottle of wine. You have the grower, you have the estate, or the region, and because I do think there's a lot to that. The whole terroir thing and the effect of the environment on the plant is pretty obvious. So you're going to want to delineate Calio grown in California versus Mendocino, California versus Calio grown in fucking somewhere in whatever, Michigan, Oklahoma, wherever. It's going to affect the product. And so if you had a varietal that you bred or discovered or whatever, and that you were growing and you wanted to license it out or let it out, sell the cut, but you still wanted to be able to say, no, on the dispensary label, it wouldn't just be Johnny's OG, it would be Johnny's OG, Mendocino, blah, 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 blah. So that when they're, that cut makes it around, it's not, it's Johnny's OG, but now it's, this is where it was grown. So there's you're gonna have people that that get into that kind of shit, right? The more the clientele base opens up with more and more states saying, well, fuck it, let's just make it recreationally legal. You're going to have a lot of these kind of, kind of yippy wino types that didn't have the balls to partake when it was illegal, but now that it's legal and it's going to hip and it's like going to be like the new fucking let's sit around and fucking sample different this and that. I think it's a great it's a great marketing tool for the growers, especially like you know, especially for the legacy growers, people that have been doing this for fucking decades before, you know, decades before it was uh, cool to make it known what you were doing. Um, you know, you got some of these legacy people that could, that, you know, they can at least enjoy some of that notoriety, and maybe it'll help them sell their product or whatever. You say, hey, this is fucking Mendo bred, Mendo grown, or, you know, and break it right down to the fucking, you know, whatever, the farm. I think it's really cool. I think it's a really cool marketing tool. I think it's a really cool way to, you know, maybe pay a little bit of, you know, a little tip of the cap to the people that are, you know, that are doing it, and doing it where it was, you know, doing it from where it came from to begin with. That's kind of cool. I'm down.
I think it's funny how we used to scoff about homegrown, and now homegrown, as we know it is, you know, it's the same homegrown that we scoffed about back in the day. And
Yeah,
now
man.
it's king.
Yeah, yeah. I'm with you there.
I mean, how does that even work?
I mean,
Hit these eye drops, man. My eyes killing. Oh,
all right, man. I think I'm gonna get the dog out and get.
well, I appreciate your time,
Yeah,
Jimmy. And before you go, I've got a couple of things I'd like to go over with you.
for sure, man.
I don't know how many times you caught the show. Like I told you beforehand, uh, the show does usually go till 4:20 ish, sometimes longer, sometimes a little shorter. Lately, hate to admit that, but there has been a few nights that have been short.
All right.
But there is the after party, or whatever you could call the wormhole. And you, as a past guest, are more than welcome to jump into the wormhole anytime you see one. It is the same Zoom in invitation that I've sent you 3 times now, which again, very awesome that you've been too cool to show up and hang out tonight. But it says very same invitation anytime that you see a wormhole. Monday nights are mandatory wormhole. The rest of the nights are kind of filler. You know, if we go full all the way, there's no wormhole. But if like tonight, I'm gonna fire one out for a few and hang out. But you're more than welcome. You don't need an invite. Just come hang out anytime you see fit. Uh, Open invitation. I'd like to extend that to you. And the second thing I'd like to get from you is like an old school radio soundbite, kind of commercial for your episode, but basically what I'm looking for in my words would be something close to, hey, this is Eagle, and I'm on fucking Talking Shit with Eagle, episode 403, and you can throw whatever you want, make it your own. But remember, when people listen to it, I kind of want them to go, hey, that's a cool fucking dude right there. I need to go back and watch that episode.
Oh, it's so not me though. Well, hey, this is JT. I'm talking shit with Eagle. I'm happy to finally be here. You can find me on Instagram at J2Cans. You can find our woodworking and leatherwork and artwork at dirtybirdtradingco.com. And yeah, and our alternative page, our seed page is Blackbird Preservations on Instagram, and you can hit me up there anytime. I'll be back popping in here at some point. Yeah, I mean, thanks for having me, man. I mean, yeah, I really enjoyed the chat, and I'm glad to finally make it on, and glad you got your fucking internet, where you don't have to, you're not getting kicked off, and
So
and the gremlins
embarrassing.
are gone.
Oh man, so embarrassing. But I
Oh, it's
can't
all
thank
good,
you enough.
man.
Most people would have told me to fuck off by now. I can tell you that right now. One night, okay, something happened. 2 nights, all right. I think you're fucking with me.
I was wondering. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Oh, it's all good, man. I know. The technical things don't always they don't always cooperate. I deal with a lot of that shit, and more than I thought I would, and so I appreciate the struggle, and I won't break your balls too hard.
In my opinion, it shows exactly how awesome you are. So thank you so much for coming and hanging out. I greatly appreciate it for sure. And I hope you do take me up on that invite sometime soon. Very soon, my friend.
Right on, man. Right on. Well, you guys everyone have a good evening. Thanks for having me on. We'll chat again soon, buddy.
All right. Have a great night.
Cheers, man.
Cheers. Well, that wraps up this episode 403. I know you guys have enjoyed it. I've watched chat all evening, and you guys have said nothing but great things about Mr. Toucan. It's been a great night. I have enjoyed the conversation. Thank you again, John, for helping me get Jimmy Toucan on the show. If you have somebody you'd like to see on the show, please get a hold of me. Help me get them on. I'd like to see them on myself. And again, thank you and happy birthday to, of course, first and foremost, my baby girl, Lexi, who is 22 today. Of course, John, who I just mentioned in the chat, it is his birthday as well. And Miss Annie N. It says in my book, it is her birthday as well, who is it's a little early for Annie, but hopefully she'll watch this and catch her happy birthday. So thank you guys very much for tuning in. You guys know the deal. Please do something nice for somebody. Random acts of kindness do save lives. I'm a living, breathing example of that. I'll see you guys in a few in the wormhole. Thank you guys for tuning in. I am out of here. Thank you, Jimmy.